Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Orange County School regularly scheduled meeting this Tuesday, May 26th. Board members are calling in via WebEx, telephonically, or in person, so I'm going to take a quick roll call. Let me begin with Member Gallo.
Good evening, Chair.
Good evening, Member Lopez.
Good evening.
Good evening, Member Coburn.
Good evening, Chair.
Good evening, Vice Chair Gould.
Good evening.
Good evening, Dr. Gordon.
Present and accounted for.
Present and accounted for. Dr. Master Dental.
Good evening.
And Member Byrd.
Good evening.
Good evening. Let us begin, as we begin every meeting, with a moment of silence and Pledge of Allegiance. And let me call today on Member Lopez to share some sad news with us and to also lead us in both a moment of reflection and silence and the pledge. Member Lopez, you're recognized.
First moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Member Chair, I have a comment about a teacher that passed away from Ventura Elementary School. And I would love to share this message. Mrs. Katherine Quaser was a wonderful teacher who left lasting imprints on both her students and her families. She was an active community member who worked without fail to see to it that all Ventura students had food, school supplies, and toys for the holidays. Once a student was hers, as she would sometimes say, that child was always hers, as she continually made the effort to keep in contact with all of her families over the years. She was a fantastic teacher, constantly sharing her terms, enriching her kids' needs. Colleagues knew her to be celebrating her kindergartners' accomplishments on a regular basis. She loved to take her kids around campus to highlight what they were presently working on and accomplishing. In her 14 years with OCPS, she was a Ventura Tiger through and through. She knew her community well, and they knew her. She made every effort to attend each and every PTO and SAC meeting. In addition, she ensured that the food pantry was stocked by donations from our local VFW and area businesses. She also loved giving of her time to our running club, supervising the operation with our 2 PE coaches each week. She was one of those teachers whose true connection came from the relationships built within school each day. Her loyalty knew no bounds, and her dedication to education was unwavering. She was a generous person in all possible ways. If you needed something and she could do it for you, she would finalize the task. Many have said she was a friend without measure. She was a person whose loss will impact many far and wide. She will be missed enormously. Thank you, Ms. Quaser, for your commitment and the love you share so willingly as you continue to hold the dearest of places in each of our hearts. Very sad.
Member Lopez, that was beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And what a sad day. I know our entire board and hopefully all of our team will lend their thoughts and prayers to the family. Thank you. All right, Dr. Jenkins, we are going to take up the strategic plan, and let me call on you to introduce Mr. Howitt.
Thank you, Chair. It's an exciting time. So much has happened since we worked on our new strategic plan. You may have actually forgotten it was just a few short months ago. it is the time for us to talk about how we're going to launch and market that new plan. And so we have an exciting communication plan that we want to share with the board. It's an important reminder to the community that the work of the district goes on, that this board worked diligently to craft a reconstructed strategic plan that is going to take us into the future to 2025 and beyond. And so it's an appropriate time to share with the board for the first time a look at our marketing plans and our communication plan. Mr. Howitt.
Thank you, Superintendent Jenkins. Madam Chair and board members, can you hear me? Everyone can hear me? Yes. The strategic plan update for this evening is the communication plan and the campaign for the new strategic plan, OCPS 2025, that was adopted by you all this past December. The communication division, and specifically the PR team, Dylan Thomas, Jason Smith, Shayla Kennedy, Elena Riggins, and the graphics team have spent the last several months developing the plan. At this time, I'm going to ask Shayla Kennedy if she will walk us through both the plan and the campaign. So we'll share screens with her and let Shayla take over. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Good evening, school board members, Chair Jacobs, Superintendent Jenkins. Can everyone see my screen? Okay, I will proceed. Speak up. Can you hear me okay now?
Yes, we can hear you well, Shayla.
Perfect. Thank you all for the opportunity to present this evening. Tonight, I will go over the communication plan for OCPS strategic plan. So the strategic plan, also referred to as OCPS 2025, went through intense planning and development and was socialized last fall and, of course, approved by this school board in December of 2019. A part of this strategic plan includes 5 major components: the vision, the mission, values, objectives, and market differentiators. I will highlight all of those in the next couple slides, and then later we'll reveal how those components will be incorporated in our communication plan. So as previously mentioned, the board approved the new vision and the mission, which you see before you here. Our vision is to ensure every student has a promising and successful future. Our mission explains how we will accomplish this. With the support of the families and the community, we create enriching and diverse pathways that lead our students to success. Our values reflect what we stand for and the culture that we want to embody here at Orange County Public Schools. We value equity, integrity, inclusion, respect, innovation, and collaboration. The objective of our goal, of course, of our plan reflects our goals: the high expectation for student learning, student social, emotional well-being, a dedicated and high-quality team, positive climate and safe environment, efficient operations, and an engaged and invested community. Our market differentiators are basically the things that set us apart from our competitors and other education institutions. Among them, just to highlight a few, are our high-quality academics and extracurricular activities, our state-of-the-art facilities, the unique learning opportunities within our district, as well as digital learning and much more. Now, based on those components that I briefly went over, the remaining slides of this presentation will go over the communication plan for OCPS 2025. Now, the key to any plan is making sure, of course, that we've done research, we've gathered background information, and have a better understanding of the context. Through collaboration with Research Accountability and Grants Leadership Team, we have had access to review the informational brief as well as survey results from the Strategic Renovation Feedback Form. This helped our team to ensure that we had a comprehensive understanding of the intent behind the different elements of the plan, as well as enabled us to ensure that we're effectively communicating to our different audiences and publics. So the goals outlined on this slide reflect how we will measure our efforts to communicate and the effectiveness of our communication plan versus the performances in the strategic plan. Our goals are to foster trust and pride in OCPS, not only to provide high quality education, but as a local employer of choice. It's also to engage and educate all of our audiences, our employees, our students, our parents about our pre-K through 12th grade and career and technical education systems, and then to retain and grow our employee base. To execute this plan, we will take an integrated approach that includes public relations, marketing, advertising, media relations, and social media strategies. Under the public relations and marketing arm of this plan, we will develop a brand campaign that you all will see in a few moments, update some marketing collateral to complement that campaign and promotional items. We will also embed messages regarding our values, our objectives, our key, our market differentiators to all our employees, our publics, our community, and it will be done through our internal publications, as well as events and other engagements that we host as a district. One of the major components of this plan will be the development of a highlight reel and a 6-video mini-series. That highlight reel will be a comprehensive view of our strategic plan, and then the video series, each one would focus on one of the values and an objective to make sure that we are distributing it not only to our employees, but on social media, through media relations, and our YouTube channels as well. For advertising, we will look for opportunities and partnerships to place billboards, videos in and around the county and in the region. From media relations to coupling what they already do on a day-to-day basis, we will make sure to infuse key messages from the strategic plan in the pitches that we do to our local, regional, and national media outlets. For our social media, we will develop an OCPS 2025 specific social media campaign, which is a way as another medium for us to inform our publics on what we are working on and what we stand for and what makes us such a great organization. Now, as this transition will actually go into the campaign and the elements, and you will see, I will briefly describe how we came up with the campaign and then also show you all some of the elements that our team has put together that you will see as we start the launch of the campaign. So the OCPS 2025 campaign, what we have come up with is our promise, your support, their success. The purpose of this campaign will be to promote the district enrollment, to talk about the initiatives, the different offerings that we have. We talk about the component, our promise. This is simply our vision and our mission put together. It reflects the combination of the two. And is not only does it represent your support as the school board, but it represents our promise to our community. Your support component, this portion of the campaign is a 3-pronged approach and focuses on the employees, the parents, and the community. It also focuses on how each of those audience contributes to us reaching our objectives and communicating our values. So as mentioned, we talk about the employee support and how they play a role in not only educating our students, but creating a culture. Our families, how we know that nothing we do and nothing that's done in the classrooms and in our school setting can be done without the help and support of our parents. And then, of course, our community, they provide countless resources to fill the voids and fill in gaps where our students that are in need. Their success really simply focuses on our core business, which is student success. This is the part of the campaign where we will incorporate the things that set us apart, as we talked about earlier, our market differentiators, and they also help us to prepare our students for college and career. So going into the campaign elements, this is the part where our graphics team and our marketing teams really worked to develop some visuals that we felt would complement the messages that we're trying to convey. So here is the initial example of our campaign. So our promise, your support, their success. Now, you will notice here that there are various languages, and I just pulled our top 3 languages, English, Spanish, and Haitian Creole. We understand that we have various audiences that speak different languages. So where necessary, we will translate to make sure that we are not missing any of our target audiences when we're communicating. This is an example. You heard me talk about how we will partner with different organizations and different media outlets to purchase these billboards at a low or no cost. If you all recall with the 150th campaign around our building, we had, and let me say the downtown location, the Ronald Blocker Educational Leadership Center, we had banners that aligned the streets that surrounded our building. Similarly, we will place banners that reflect the values of the OCPS 2025 plan. This will help us to reinforce what we believe, what we stand for, and our culture before a person even steps foot into our building. So this piece is just a sample of a leave behind. Every time a school board member is able to present to our community, whether it's at a chamber or Rotary, our superintendent, cabinet members speak, this is an opportunity for us to actually leave something with them to reflect on later. This piece that we would create would actually be a storytelling component of the strategic plan, helping people understand what this means, what it all includes, and it's something that they can constantly refer back to after we have these different meeting opportunities. This is an example of a pocket folder. These two would also be used at presentations to the community, but also for the onboarding of new employees, professional developments, opportunities, trainings, et cetera, throughout the building. So one thing I want to point out, if you noticed, and if not, I'll point it out to you all, there has been a shift in these posters versus what you saw up to this point. In the previous slides, it focused on our promise, your support, and their success. To our external audiences, we wanted to use a language that was conversational, that was something that our communities could understand, they could advocate on our behalf, and they can communicate for us as well. When we're talking to our internal audiences, we want to make sure that we stay pure to the strategic plan so they understand what the vision is, what the mission is, because they are our front line, they are our brand ambassadors, and if they're not informed, then we miss the opportunity to make sure that we have a solid core. So this would be an example of posters that we would have available to staff and to our schools. They would be in break rooms. It would be as you're going from department to department at school sites. But again, it would be intended for internal audiences, the employees. This is just an alternative variation of those same posters, just giving people a choice for what they like. Some people like, not even what they like, but space parameters may prevent them from being able to use all four in a portrait landscape. This would be an alternative option too for those that just preferred one poster. So you've had 3 different posters for consideration for our employees. This would be an example of a handout, and it would just briefly describe all of the different elements of the strategic plan. We made available again for employees when we have, when we're bringing on new employees, if there's a training, anytime we have an event in the building, this is something that we would be able to hand out so they would have on them. This piece is actually an employee reference card. And the intended purpose of this is to remind our employees of our vision, mission, values, no matter where they are. This is intended to be the size of a business card, and it would fit behind the ID badge. So it's something that they can take with them wherever they go. Now, one of the important parts, it's almost, I would say it's a sub-campaign under our overarching campaign, is we want to make sure that we take every opportunity to engage all of our employees across all the job categories. So this employee-focused campaign would complement the existing communication efforts, but will really target the different audiences. So for example, teachers lead students to success. Our facilities and construction workers build student success. Our transportation operators drive students to success. So it's a way to attach an action word to their role and how they're contributing to the success of our students. And as we say, the ultimate goal of our work every day. This is an example, where there are t-shirts. We also find that lanyards are a popular commodity within our district. So we'd be able to repurpose what is seen on the shirts, on lanyards. The ones that you see that say I support, those will be beneficial not only for our support staff and administrative staff, but those can also be used for our community partners that support the district as a whole. So these are just another example of promotional items. Again, the sole purpose is to get them engaged in the strategic plan and to make them feel a part of the campaign and a part of the organization. Again, other examples. And I'll briefly go through these. And we've developed pins again, as you notice through all of them, they all model the same action words, and we'll be able to distribute it to our different audiences and different departments. And the last element that I would like to share is just these are examples of lapel pins that could be used for our staff as well. So when we move into the implementation phase of the strategic plan, we have prepared a draft timeline that is intended to cover at least a year of the plan, but can be modified to go throughout 2025. So as you see here, again, this is a very high level plan that is still being flushed out with more details. But the proposed plan, there will be opportunities for us to adjust. It is fluid, which is what's great about the way we've set this up, that if there's a need for us to pivot or shift our focus, we're able to quickly do that with the way we've laid out this plan. The initial campaign launch, of course, would be in August, and it will be focused more on the employees in our community. Where you all see our audiences listed, you will see that the employees are always first. We want to make sure that as we communicate things out, they're the first ones to hear everything. They're the ones that hear and learn about the different components and how they play a part in that. Our official external launch will be at our State of the Schools, and that's where there will be an intense focus on our community. The information will be very similar to what is given to the employees, but will be tailored based on their role and contribution to the organization. Same thing with our social media launch. The idea is that when the State of the Schools occurs, the social media launch will happen simultaneously. And so that will reach over to all of our other audiences, which will provide opportunities for people to share, engage, give feedback, and share their stories as well that align with our with the strategic plan. And then also during that time in September, we will release the first of the highlight reel. And then as you will see through the remaining months, each month we change the focus on a different video. So in October, we will focus on equity. In November, integrity. In December, inclusion. January, respect. In February, we would do innovation. And then in March, we would include collaboration. Now, one of the things that we will also incorporate, which will be in the final timeline, will be the incorporation of the board-approved proclamations. Each month, there's a different emphasis or observance that we highlight as a district. Those two would be incorporated, and we would mirror that and apply that to the I lead, I drive, I support part of the campaign. At this time, this concludes my presentation, and I will turn it over to Scott Howard and Superintendent Jenkins.
Thank you, board members. Absolutely pleased with the work of staff. So polished and professional. To have a marketing launch plan like this by staff is commendable. This is the first time that the board has had a chance to hear about it and to look at it, so it is all draft. It is your first time to give your impressions, your feedback, but over the coming weeks, you can certainly do the same as well, since we are not looking for any launch until August and beyond. I just think it's important to remember that we are still focused on the work of the district, even given the pandemic that we are trying to get through. We are still very focused on our students, the newly developed vision, mission, values. You will recall we did not spend a whole lot of emphasis on the last time, and we said we would this time through make sure we pushed our values as significant. And so Ms. Kennedy has brought us that first glimpse of what that campaign can look like. I like the notion of our promise, your support, their success. I love the visuals, but as I say, this is my second time seeing it. This is your first time seeing it. So, Madam Chair, members of the board, happy to hear your first impressions. We have certainly weeks to go on polishing this approach. Madam Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. Let me check and see who's in the queue on this subject. It looks good. So we have Vice Chair, followed by Member Colbert, followed by Dr. Kester Dental, followed by Dr. Gordon, followed by pretty much everybody. Let's start with Vice Chair.
Thank you. This is an amazing presentation. I am so excited and pleased to see the progress, the fresh look, but not only that, that we're leading with the story, because the story is how we implement the values. It also supports that alignment that the foundation went through several years ago, in really being able to take out that message of support on all levels, not only from our school-based support, our major educational partners, but certainly our philanthropic investment as well. So I'm loving all of that. How, and you might not have gotten far in this, but the first impression is, wow, fantastic, love the colors. it's attractive. I wanted to be able to read it, and I don't like to read anything, so that's a big plus. It draws you right in. How will we highlight programmatic things appropriately? So, for example, we know that virtual learning is going to become probably a very key component in our school choice model. Not that it hasn't been already, but there's a whole other different reason now why people may want to flex into that, just like they flex into our magnets or some of our other choice programs. How, in the context of this campaign, will those kinds of seasonal highlights get lifted in the storytelling component? You know, career and technical is another one. While they have a separate campaign, it certainly is a pathway, and that starts right from pre-K all the way on. So bravo from the look and the direction of the content, but if you could just explain a little bit more how we'll lift programmatic highlights out, I'd appreciate it.
Shayla, you want to talk a little bit about that? I know we've had some discussion about audiences and the identification of the long list of audiences that we're reaching out to. If you want to take that.
Absolutely. So to your question, Vice Chair, what we would be looking at and the fluidness of the timeline allows us to flex and pivot, as previously mentioned. We do, one of the intents behind starting it a little later in relation to your comment about distance learning and digital learning is that we wanted to make sure that we didn't overshadow the work that's being done to ensure all the transitions that are going to be made between now and we can say August, September, even it's gonna spill over later on into the fall. We are aware of that. The intent would be, you know, if I'm briefly, and I'm gonna just pull off of one, if we're talking about our values of innovation, you know, based on the timeline, we have innovation later on in the plan, but we may need to pivot because of what is happening right now and put innovation first in our communication. And we talk about what we're doing as a district to support students as they transition home, if that's the case in the fall. Talks about the different offerings, how we partner with the community to ensure innovation and making sure all of our students have equitable access to information and to education. So it's in those, it's something that we will definitely discuss further. But from, you know, your initial question, that would be an immediate way that I could see how we would be able to accommodate that concern. And it would be a month-long focus. Now, I want to be careful and say, just because something is intended for the month of September, it doesn't mean that we stop talking about it throughout the campaign. It's just that would be the focus from, you know, a pitching or a pushing of information standpoint.
Any other questions? Vice Chair? Okay. Following Member Gould then is Member Cobert.
Thank you, Chair. So first, I just want to say bravo. I have not seen this campaign. You kept it tightly under wraps, and I think it is just brilliant. I love our promise, your support, their success, and that mirrors what I have been saying from the day I came into office, that our organization needs to look like a pyramid like this with the kids at the top. It's all about their success, and everything we all do below is just a support for that. And that's exactly what this campaign looks like. So thank you. I love that. I think some people may even ask, why does a school district need to have a campaign like this? And the reason is that because we are a community organization, and it's imperative that we have the community's trust and the community's support. So the more that they see the why behind what we do, the more that we'll have that. And I think that this campaign does exactly that. I also very much like that you're putting the employees first in the communication. That way, as a whole organization, we can speak as one voice, that we all know what's the most important at the top, why we're all doing it, and we do speak it as one voice. And Shayla, I thought that was a brilliant answer to pivot possibly toward innovation, because I think that what another market differentiator, as we move through all of the changes that are coming in the fall and beyond, one of our biggest innovations is going to be choice. And I think we're going to be able to take that word, take it back, and own it. And that's the innovation that we'll be able to offer. That's a big pivot for public school districts. I think that it's being executed well. And again, this campaign reflects that. So thank you guys. Very good job. Thank you.
I think you called on me, so thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to just say that I really appreciate the role that you put, or the emphasis you put on all of the employees and everyone's responsibility for our students' success. So when you talk about the transportation, the food and nutrition, not just the teachers, but everyone has a role to play in the outcome. So I like how you messaged that, and I look forward to seeing how it all comes together. And I also like that the values, the mission, the objectives, the vision, they all seem like they are able to kind of respond, or they still fit with what is happening right now with our schools and our challenges. So even though our school and the process that we have right now to educate our kids will look very different, when I was just looking at the mission and vision, none of that needs to change. That all still remains essential. So I think you did a great job putting it together. Thank you.
Well said. Thank you. Let's hear from Dr. Gordon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to ask Ms. Kennedy, and I want to thank Scott Howard too, but definitely I want to thank the board for coming up with your this great strategic plan, and for them branding it and trying to get out there and market it. I would like Ms. Kennedy to go back to page 4, and they're going to be about 3 pages, I think.
All right, just a second. All right. Okay, page 4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That is the most important thing. And I wanted everybody to see what the board agreed would be on top. Equity, integrity. Go back, Shayla.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Equity, integrity, inclusion, respect. We're losing a lot of that today. I think I was so hot by the time I got up this morning and saw the news. There just was no respect for nobody in no position in the park anyway, in the school. And then for the one mother, you know, she called in and said what happened to her child, and even what is coming up on the board. One parent is saying the respect, innovation. You brought that back up, and you said it should be first in our community. I disagree with that. Equity is where it is should be. That I'm serious. And the collaboration. I just have a problem when if you go to I just had a problem with the collaboration, but I know we did that, so I can't blame you that much. But I hope I could show it to you on the last page. Just keep that in mind, where you did the month, but don't go there yet. I really hope that we look at these values and that we push them out, because once you lose these values and you begin to listen to what's in the media and listen to what other people say, we would have lost all of our values. We would have lost all of our values. People are just not thinking today of equality and integrity and inclusion and respecting each other for whatever knowledge they have. Everybody's going to get old one day if you are fortunate enough and blessed enough to live as long as I've lived. And there are others that have lived even longer than me. As I always say, Rick Roach coined the senior board member. Each one of you, if you live long enough and run hard enough, you too will hopefully be a senior board member. And what it means by a senior board member is that they have sat through all of this. They've sat through it from one chairman, from one board member to another. We've gone through this. So I really don't want us to lose these values, and they really need to be posted. This is one of your posters. This is your poster. That's your marketing. That's your branding. That's your branding, baby. Okay? The next page, I want you to go to page 9. That's your values are your branding. If they forget their values, we'll be cussing each other out. Okay? Page 9. Where did you mention the choice? Where did you mention choice? I thought it was on page 9.
Yes, I referenced about Orange County Public Schools being providing high quality education and us being an employer of choice for the local community.
What did you mean by that? I need to know what you meant by that.
As you know, as a top option, when people are looking for careers, we have so many opportunities within our district. Whether it's finding,
I'm gonna stop you.
Sure.
We need to spell it out. There should not be any. There need to be differentiators of what we offer in OCPS in our schools. You just think of when people hear choice, they're gonna think public charter. Okay. We have got to differentiate what we offer compared to what they offer. And we don't offer for them because they have their own thing and OCPS have theirs. So I'm a little worried about that choice. Our choice are our magnet programs. Our choice are where our kids could come in and get what they want and go out and become what they want. Go to Old Tech, our technical colleges and become what they want. Follow our academic schedules and end up super scholars. I need that differentiated. I don't want choice there like we a public school, charter public school advocator. All we are is the board to make sure that those public charters, when they come before us, that they're meeting the qualification of what the state asked them to meet. So we're not their pusher to make them, we're not advocating for them. I'm sorry. Okay? We're advocating to what we offer students. And so I'm a little worried about that word, Dr. Jenkins. I feel when we open it up, we negate what we have to offer. Most of us can't sit here and rattle off everything we have because when we look at what we have, it's always something added new every day. When I talked to the superintendent, she said, "Did you know we put this in?" And I'm going, "What?" Then Dr. Shulo called me and said, "We did so-and-so." Then UCF will call, "Gordon, I want you to come. This is what we're doing." That's what I call choice. But I don't want that in there. I want it to be that what we have to offer is some type of super education. And I would love for the board to remove that. Yes, that's a tiny duty. We're supposed to make sure that charter schools follow the state guidelines. That's all our duty is. But I'm not going to advocate for that, okay? So that is a bothersome thing for me here, all right? I want our programs highlighted. I want them in there. People need to know they could come in and get a total career in the Orange County Public School system. And then if you would go to the last page.
I'm sure there's a better way to get to these quickly. Sorry about this.
That's okay. You're doing a great job. And I do want to commend you for the artifacts and the marketing devices that you've used. I have a problem. You got inclusion and respect and innovation. Well, how did you get there if you didn't collaborate? I got a problem. On the targeted date, go back to the page just before that page. This is a great rollout, but where is your collaboration? You can't collaborate at the end. You just can't do it and be successful. So some kind of way, I wish you would go back to the drawing board and find out when will you be collaborating with the community, which includes the business partners and all of it. But the audience is awesome because I'm assuming that your community will be all of those people involved with us, with the business partners, which is an awesome part of our addition program with that business. But I got a problem when you launch a campaign and then I know we do the state of the school, okay? But then I love that the equity is there because but you can't do equity without collaboration. So I don't know why the wordings, I'm just kind of concerned about the collaboration part. I don't see how we could push collaboration. Go to the next page again. Our values are great. I just don't know how we can push collaboration in March and it's time to take tests. We're testing and there ain't no time to collaborate. Matter of fact, nobody's talking because the seniors are gone. They're gone on the field trip. The middle school kids and the elementary kids, they're getting ready to do their tests from the state. If we do it this year, they're gonna market out some tests now. Don't think they won't. They'll come up with something, okay? But I just can't see March is a time to launch collaboration. Can you give me a reason why your team and Mr. Scott can help you there, put collaboration in March when March is our testing time? There's no time to collaborate because we can't talk to the kids. We'll lose our jobs for collaborating with them. It's too late. It's too late. Too late, Ms. Shayla.
Absolutely. Just for the purposes of the campaign, we just followed the same order that it was on the plan, but we can.
I know you did, but now you see that
yes
is a key issue.
Okay.
I know you did it for a reason because we gave you those, but it is a key issue that cannot be accomplished as successfully as you wanted in March when there's little talking in March.
Definitely. And we can take it back to the board.
Everybody's glued down. Right now in March when we came back to test, the seniors would have been gone one place, other people would have gone on trips, and those other kids would have been buckled down. We would have been in testing mode. From March until May, we would have been testing. So I don't know how collaboration could be pushed when it would be step aside and know what the teachers are going to know, what parents are going to say. Well, how could we collaborate? And my kids are testing and they're in the school and every day you're going home worn out, from doing what the state is asking us to do. So I don't know how you want to do that, but that is something that is needed in the beginning.
Okay.
To actually use as a tactic, tool to push out. That's me. That's me with experience. Okay. And then roll it out. Okay, that's very good. Now, this is awesome. As my colleague stated, this is wonderful. I think you've topped anything we have done. You guys have gone in the back room. And Dr. Jenkins said this is just her second time. I didn't know how you all were going to roll this out. But I think you just rolled it out and overdid yourself on this. This is wonderful. But I would like to know, how do you plan to really get it out in the community? And when were you going to kick it out in the community? At the state of the school address? Is it going to be something we kick out in every school at the beginning? I did not see that. Is it going to be something, how they make us watch everything at the beginning of the year? We got to go through all the, we have to sit there and go through the videos and, the superintendent video and the parents video and the board members video. And you bore us to death, but that's okay. We have to do it because we learned from it, okay? Parents get tired because they're trying to cook dinner. I just want to know, and I got Teresa just cracking up, because she's been a parent and had to go sit and listen to it while she was trying to cook her dinner. But how will you roll it out to the community? Okay?
So, Dr. Gordon, we're going to start in August as it's outlined. We'll do a campaign launch. We'll prepare our...
I know, but where are you going? Where are you going with the launch? Who are you talking to? Are you going into the schools and make us sit there and go through all of that stuff we have to go through every year as teachers and staff? How are you doing it? I know you're going to do a campaign launch, but where are you going to launch it? At the state of the school would be the first launch? Would it be you're going to the hotel businesses? You're going to the county commission, the city commission? Are we going to get on their docket and present what we are doing in the public school system? It's a community piece. We can do it. But how are we going to roll it out?
So Shayla, did you write all those down? Because those are all the things we're going to be doing, Dr. Gordon.
Thank you.
I promise you.
Okay. All right.
Yep,
So,
I have them all written
Since y'all
down.
the hook,
got it.
so I'll call you back. But I love it. I love it. You guys have outdone yourself. You got everything. It's just the little things that you're going to hear from the board members that's going to make it better. This is
Absolutely.
awesome. Thank Dr.
Absolutely.
Jenkins. Thank you, Mr. Scott Howard, and thank you, Ms. Kennedy. Very good job. Thank you, Madam Chair. I enjoy that. I can't wait to wear my shirt. Can't wait to wear my shirt.
It's all about teamwork. And I
Yes,
think
it is.
that,
Yes,
that
it is.
statement of being an employer of choice, you could drop that word out and the rest of the sentence stands. The idea is we should be a great employer, a trustworthy employer. We don't need to confuse people. That's an easy fix. I agree. I think putting collaboration at the beginning makes all the sense. And if people want to know why we started there, it's because none of it happens without collaboration, as you've said so well. So I think that's a great place to start. Let's move then to Member Byrd.
Thank you, Chair. I just will echo that. I think that this was tremendous. It's a great launch, great campaign. I love it. I've been so proud of the work that we've done as a board on this strategic plan. I've said all along, I think that it is just a beautiful reflection of the values that we hold dear, and that we are that we're really trying to reach the whole child. So I'm so thankful for this communications team and the work you're doing to communicate this new strategic plan out to our community and to our schools and to our employees and our parents. I think you're on the right track. I think you've got a great plan. I love the whole the branding of all of it. I do love the emphasis on the values as well. I agree with Dr. Gordon. I think that they need to be prominent everywhere. I don't know. I can't remember on your presentation on the posters if you have a poster with just the values. But if not, I definitely think, like our vision or our mission at the top, and then our values, that needs to be out in our schools. If we don't have one of those, I couldn't remember if you had that. If I had just one thing that just kind of popped in my head when you were going through the promotional items, which I loved the idea that you were, focusing on the employees and the different parts they play in making our students successful. As my only thing that I kind of picked up on was that the terms, like right there. There you go. All of it leading to success, building to success. It kind of reminded me a lot of our old mission statement, where we were in our old vision and mission, where we were really focused on the terms, being the top producer of successful students. And our mission, actually, the first line was to lead our students to success. So that was my only kind of question about those, that they kind of reminded me of the old vision and mission statement. Like these are fantastic, and I think they would be great if we still had that vision and mission. But I think, and I don't know how it could, and I don't even know if anyone else is interested in changing it at all. I think they're great. One side of me thinks they're great, but then the other side of me thinks that it kind of reminds me a little too much of the old mission about the students' success, leading students to success. So that was my only thought, my only kind of critique on it. Everything else I just loved, and thank you guys for all of your hard work.
Shayla or Scott, do either of you want to respond?
Sure. Member Byrd, one of the things, and I think Shayla mentioned this before, this is a sub-campaign of the overarching campaign in order to engage all of our employees, and we still do have leading students to success in the mission. So we wanted to pull our employees into that and make sure that there's ownership kind of across the district in each of our employee groups. We're building out these as we've been working on them. Shayla's been, she has a board outside of our office where we brainstorm and get input from different employee groups. We thought this was a good way to pull all of our employees into our mission, which leading students to success is in there. It is the tagline in the mission statement as well. So that's really the purpose behind doing that in the sub campaign, but obviously open to discussion. So
thank you, Scott. Yeah, I felt kind of the same way, Member Bird, when I saw it. I remember the big issue that I had with the term, the old one, was producer, and the idea that our kids aren't a product that we produce. The only concern I had when I don't like, I drive our students to success, because I feel like that's like driving them into the ground, except that I think, as I understood it, this is for our transportation workers, right?
Correct.
Which, if it's just them, I kind of love it, because it's so, you get it. You get the point that you are driving them to the place that provides success. If it were a teacher with "I drive our students to success," I would think you might be driving me crazy. So I think that your placement is just spot on with that. Let me call next on Member Gallo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just going to echo some of the sentiments that my other board members have already expressed. Great job, like really wonderful job, Scott. You and your team just knocked it out of the park. I love the Our Promise, your support, and their success. I think that Member Coburn said, kind of like, that's our why. Like, why are we in this? Why are we doing what we're doing? We're doing it to educate children emotionally, academically, holistically. Like, we're there, we're here, and we do what we do day in and day out for the kids in our community. So that why is just so important. I love the focus on the employees. I don't have a problem with the word choice, because I hope every employee chooses OCPS, and I frequently thank them for choosing OCPS, because I do want to be the leader. I want OCPS to be the envy of every other district in the state. I want everybody to work for OCPS and tell everybody else that they're missing out because they're not an employee of us, because we're so awesome. So I really didn't have a problem with choice. I love our values. Especially inclusion. As a member Kester Dental mentioned, I think that it's so relevant to what we're going through right now, that what we've developed and created just is timeless and can speak in normal times, in pandemic times, and any time. So I'm extremely proud of the work that we did on this strategic plan, even those long evenings when we were trying to hammer out just that one word that we just didn't like, but we got there. And so thank you to the board. Thank you to Scott's team. It's amazing. Thanks.
Wonderful. Member Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with School Board Member Linda Cover, and I just want to congratulate the great leadership of Scott Howard for his leadership and the teamwork, and also Ms. Kennedy for such a wonderful presentation. I love the colors because the colors represent the diversity and also the inclusion. Sometimes, only blue and orange is not kind of representing our diversity in Orange County Public School. And when I look at the pictures and I see our diverse students, because we have students of different colors, different languages. So I love the pictures, I love the colors, and also using the names of not only of instructional staff member, but also classified employees that are very engaged and with the students, and also are part of our student success. So we are not only focused on our students as our priority, but also valuing our staff members. And sometimes I feel that they need that. They need to be praised and to say, what, to the cafeteria lady and to the bus driver, you are also responsible for our student success. And I think that type of campaign is also using as a reminder for our employees to let them know that they are very important for our student success. So I love this, and I also have to emphasize that I agree with Linda when she was saying about the use of the employees, the use of the names of the staff members. I'm thinking in Spanish. I don't know why today. I'm in a Spanish mode, trying to, to translate everything that I'm thinking. So I agree with Linda with the priority of the students. And sometimes we think that the bureaucracy power is different that what really is. That is the student at the top and then everybody else in the triangle. And so I think that is a great campaign. I highly appreciate the use of colors and also appreciate the great work of our communications department, specifically the leadership of Scott Howard, and also the great presentation from Ms. Kennedy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So let me offer a few comments. I likewise, I'm just blown away by this presentation, by the plan, by all of the thought that went into it. Shayla, your explanation of what you were going to do, but equally important, why you were going to do it, was so well thought out, tailoring different messages, same message, but different way of communicating internally, externally. Just really impressed me with the work and effort that went into this. A couple of, and I love the fact, just like the other board members have mentioned, our promise, your support, their success. You really captured, there was so much dialogue amongst the board members about, frankly, not owning the credit of the students, making sure that they own that credit. And you captured that with what's our role? We are making the commitment. We have the promise. It's your support. It's community support. It's everyone else, and it's their success. I just loved it. That is so perfect. The couple of, like, a suggestion, I looked at the t-shirts, and I love the t-shirts, but I was looking for nurture. And so if there's an opportunity for another t-shirt, I think nurture would be another great thing. I think. And the other thing I was thinking, we have mentors. So depending on our budget, I mentor students to success could be another one. So just tutors, I can just see, we can just continue to kind of build on what is your role, but we're all in this collectively. And so the t-shirts, the different colors and the play on words, I think also gives us an opportunity to all unify around this one common goal, and that is student success. So anyway, super job. I don't have nothing else to say, no other advice or critiques, just kudos to all of you. Blows me away. Thank you. And if there's no further comments from board members, unless there's anything further, Scott, from you, I will move back onto our agenda.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Jenkins.
So briefly, the Cabinet had a chance to see this presentation. Actually, it's my third. I saw it, Cabinet saw it. We've had some tweaking and some adjustments to it. Your feedback is very informative. It will help polish it even further. And we look forward to being able to launch it. I want to reassure you, we've got no large budget dollars committed to it. We don't have dollars to invest in that. We'd be looking at philanthropic support around any things like billboards, I can assure you, in case someone is wondering. But very pleased. And I have to say, the polishing and the marketing and the push, we have wonderful talent on our staff to help us get there. But this board actually developed that new vision and mission, spent lots of hours together with superintendent and with staff. And so your development of that new vision, mission, objectives, and values is really the impetus behind this great campaign. So kudos to the entire board as well.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. There was one thing I was going to offer as a possible suggestion. Thank you for reminding me about the values. One of the things we did in Orange County when I came in, we did not have a set of values, and it was the first thing that we adopted. And I think more than, as several of you have said, more than anything else, those values are the things that people will hold us accountable to, and which is a good thing for parents to say, wait a minute, this isn't equitable. That board said equity matters, and I don't feel like this process has integrity in it. That board said integrity matters. So I think they're so valuable. What we did in Orange County was we put them on the back of everybody's badge, their ID badge, and it's a little thing, but I was surprised at the number of people that I still run into from Orange County employees that when they come up to me and they will show me the back of their badge and they will say, these are our values. These are our, and they took those values to heart. And every new group of employees that every orientation, we did a whole orientation on the values. And we talked about how to apply each of those values and how important examples of those values and why those values mattered. And so that just really started to take root. And that's where you change the culture. You change the culture through your values. And I think we all see things examples of situations that are not exactly as we'd like them. And how do we get everybody where we want them to be? It's changing the culture. It's making it so that you want to fit in. You want to embody that culture because it feels right to, and it feels wrong not to. So just a thought, it's a little thing. I wouldn't spend a lot of money on it, but it might be an opportunity to constantly have everybody's reminder in front of them. Oh yeah, these are my organization's values. This is what we believe in. This is what we stand for. So with that, I'm gonna check. I think we're okay to move on. Wonderful job, guys. Take a bow and take the rest of the night off. Oh, that's right. Superintendent is controlling such staff. Well, I'm sure she agrees. All right, let's move on. One of the things we jumped over, Dr. Jenkins, we have recognitions, I believe, this evening. You have some employee recognitions, am I correct?
Absolutely. So just because we don't have an audience here where they can actually make a few comments, I did want to mention a few of the items on our personnel agenda because they might be listening in. They don't have an opportunity to comment, but wanted to announce Melanie Stefanowicz from Osceola County Public Schools will be coming over from a similar role to be our new Associate Superintendent for Career and Technical Education as Dr. Armbruster is retiring. Laura Busey, who is the current principal at Ocoee High School, will be moving to open the brand new high school on 113 on the west side of town. Guy Swenson, who is the principal at Olympia High School, will be moving to open the other new high school at Site 80 on the west side of town. Jennifer Cupid McCoy is area superintendent for the West Learning Community. She was in an acting capacity. John Duncan was acting principal at Andover Elementary. He will be officially their principal. Kathleen Phillips was the acting principal at Sand Lake Elementary. She will be the official principal at Sand Lake Elementary School. I believe that covers it. Congratulations to all.
Absolutely. Congratulations to all. Let's move on to the agenda. Dr. Jenkins, are there any changes to the posted agenda?
There are no changes, Madam Chair.
All right, with no changes to the agenda, is there a motion from any board member to adopt the agenda as posted?
Move the adoption, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Gordon. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Member Byrd. We have a motion from Dr. Gordon, second by Member Byrd, to adopt the agenda as posted. At this point, we have no public hearings. Let me check before we take up action on the consent agenda. Ms. Enval, do we have any speakers on the line?
Yes, ma'am. We have 2 speakers on the line.
And are they regarding the consent agenda or what area of the agenda are they on?
Regarding non-consent, regarding the charter school.
Thank you. All right, then we will move forward with the consent agenda since we have no public speakers. Is there a board member that would offer a motion for the consent to approve the consent agenda? Member Lopez? Member Lopez, did you offer? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Thank you. We have a motion from Member Lopez to approve the consent agenda. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second
Vice
from
Chair.
the Vice Chair. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Doesn't work.
Aye.
Sorry. Let's go back and do the roll call vote on the adoption of the agenda. Member Gallo.
Aye.
Member Lopez.
Aye.
Member Cobert.
Aye.
Member Vice Chair Gould.
Aye.
Dr. Gordon.
Aye.
Dr. Castrodano.
Aye.
Member Byrd.
Aye.
All right, and now to the approval of the consent agenda, which has been motioned and seconded. We'll do a roll call vote on that as well. Member Gallo?
Aye.
Member Lopez?
Aye.
Member Covert?
Aye.
Vice Chair Gould?
Aye.
Dr. Gordon?
Aye.
Dr. Castellano?
Aye.
And Member Byrd?
Aye.
Very good. Next item on the agenda, we have under non-consent, we have the UCP Bales Community Academy Charter School application. We do, as we mentioned, have two speakers on the line. Dr. Jenkins, I will turn it over to you first to introduce this item, and then we'll hear from our callers before we engage in board discussion and potential action. You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. So UCP has provided a valuable service to our community and certainly to a population of our students. And because of that work and their reputation, we did make an exception for them to amend and provide additional feedback responses, written responses, if you will, regarding their application. After review of those secondary responses, we are recommending an approval with the understanding that we will continue to monitor the issues that were raised as they plan to open in August. Staff is available if there are any further questions, Madam Chair, but that is our recommendation.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins, and thank you also for that clarification. I think that the monitoring and everybody understanding that that is a process that will be ongoing is very helpful. Let us hear from the two speakers that we have on the line, and then I'll open it up to comments from board members or a motion. We can introduce our first caller.
We have Doris Lawson on the line.
Ms. Lawson, this is Teresa Jacobs. Welcome. Thank you for calling in. If you can give your name and address first, and then you'll have 3 minutes to make your comments, and we welcome hearing from you.
My name is Doris Lawson. I live at 2338 Post Oak Court in Ocoee, Florida. Members of the school board, Superintendent Jenkins, thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening in support of the UCP Charter School application. I come to you tonight with a unique perspective in terms of my teaching experience. I've been teaching with UCP Charter Schools for 11 years. But before that, I taught up north in a union-driven school system. Needless to say, it's been a whole new world here in Florida. First and foremost, UCP Charter embodies and promotes the best model of inclusion that I've encountered in my years of teaching. They have 2 dual certified teachers and a highly trained teacher assistant working side by side to provide the best education for students of all abilities. Having a large number of students in the number of staff in the classroom, we can differentiate and provide ongoing small group instruction and multiple opportunities for reteaching and enrichment. Over the course of 11 years, I've witnessed miracles almost on a daily basis. Students who were diagnosed with severe reading disabilities pass the FSA. Students who struggle with walking and were confined to wheelchairs walk on their own or with the help of a walker. Students with autism or other communication disabilities break through their silent worlds and sing, shout, and talk. Every day I'm privileged to behold the collaboration that happens among students of all types of abilities. Children play together, learn together, and thrive together. The barriers of wheelchairs, walkers, braces, and communication devices disappear in a school that promotes community, access, and equity for all students. I tell this particular story often on how students help one another and live more productive lives. Often people think of inclusion and they think that the more capable students help the less capable, but more often than not, it's the opposite. One day, a young boy in my classroom was attempting to leave the class at dismissal. His backpack was stuck on the back of a chair, and he was yanking it with all his might. He was dragging the chair along with him in an effort to keep up with his classmate. A young girl in a wheelchair rolls over, and she says, "Stop, look." And Drew dropped his backpack along with the chair, and she bent over and said, "See, you have to unhook it first." And she proceeded to give him his backpack without the chair attachment. And I'll always remember that as an example of students in an inclusive setting helping each other in a spirit of true community. The students who have graduated from our elementary program have been successful in other middle schools in the area. However, our parents have been the impetus towards developing our middle school program. They're searching for a small community experience for their child in their middle school years. They desire to have their children in school in an inclusive program during the formative and personal growth period of preteen and teenage years. We at UCP have history, expertise, and ability to provide a high-quality middle school program and require your approval of our application tonight. So please vote yes and approve our new charter application for the K-8 program at Bales Community Academy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Lawson, for calling in. Who's our second caller, Ms. Emval?
We have Christy Koenig on the line.
Thank you. Ms. Koenig, welcome. You could give your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes for your comments. And then when you're close, when you're 30 seconds away from your 3 minutes, you'll hear a little ring. And that's just kind of a warning to be wrapping up your comments. We appreciate you calling in tonight.
Thank you, Chairman Jacobs. My name is Christy Koenig. My address is 4156 Clary Way, Orlando, Florida. And my comments aren't going to be as put together as Mrs. Lawson. I'm a parent of a student currently at Bales Community Academy and also a graduate of Bales Community Academy. As a parent, I'm so excited that I was able to listen to the board meeting tonight and to hear about the OCPS 2025 plan and about the values of equity, inclusion, integrity, respect, and collaboration. While I understand Dr. Gordon's point that the public charters are not typically considered or represented here with OCPS, it's more OCPS providing the governance and ensuring that the public charters follow the state regulations and policies. I have to keep in mind that the children that go to these public charters are there because they too need a promising and successful future, that your support of this approval of this middle school charter application will lead to their future success. And that, yes, we have to believe and stand for their success. My daughter has CP, cerebral palsy, and she has been attending UCP since she was 1.5 years old. She was non-communicative. She acted out and was a behavior problem. Her condition did not impact her mental cognitive development, but it did impact her physical and her ability to speak and respond. And as a result, she was a behavior problem with UCP and the teachers and the therapists and all of the administration and staff. She has learned strategies to help her communicate and to become able to calm herself down and re-engage back in student and classroom lessons with her peers. And to me as a parent, that is huge because when she gets to middle school and when she gets to high school, she is not going to be able to, if she didn't have those strategies, she wouldn't be able to engage in the classroom lessons. She would be seen as a behavior issue and she would be expelled from school. And to me, that's not her being successful. The middle school application to me as a parent is very important because currently I have an older daughter who is an AB honor roll student at one of our OCPS middle schools and is doing very well there. However, that school is phenomenally huge, has over 1,000 students, and my daughter, who is a 3rd grader now, would not be able to transverse that school and still be successful in her educational experience. So I appreciate the board members' consideration and for your approval of the charter application for our children's success. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Koenig. Are there any further callers, any other additional callers on the line, Ms. Emval?
There are not, no.
Okay. All right. Then let me go to board members. I want to first recognize Dr. Gordon.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're coming through loud and clear. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. I did hear Dr. Jenkins say, I think I know very well. I love UCP. I love what they do. I was one of the main board members that pushed for this entire type of charter school coming to the district. And what they stood for, they have offered us valuable service. However, I have some major concerns. I talked to Dr. Jenkins this afternoon, and I asked Dr. Jenkins, I was missing a very important document that I did want to look at. I did receive the 17-page document, but then there was a dispute in the 17-page document. It made our staff look like we didn't know what we were talking about. Now, I've been on this board, and I have to say, 20 years is a long time. I've ushered in most of the charter schools if they were good. And UCF they have been one of our best charters with no complications and doing what they ask us to do. But I'm very concerned about the 17 pages and accepting what who wrote it up. And I'm reading it. I asked Dr. Jenkins to have them to get this to me, but everybody was running around at the last minute. And I think they sent it Friday to the wrong email. So I really did get it. I think I asked Dr. Moody to send it to me. And I asked Mrs. McGill to send it to me. And I believe Arabia sent it, and I never got it. I didn't even know she was sending it. But I did get it from Mrs. McGill, which I'm very pleased, and I got it from Dr. Moody, which I'm very pleased. But I had an opportunity to look at the OCP response to the various questions, and they were supposed to provide additional clarification to the OCPS team members. I don't see for the life of me, I know what is supposed to happen with charter schools. And I do know, according to the laws, that I can't put my hand on it, but I could get it, Well, if one thing, we talked about equity, and that was my reason for raving over equity and fairness. From what I understood, if they didn't meet one part, they didn't meet any. And even if it was one thing not in that application, it is not for us to fill out their application for them. And they know that. And I think you heard the first parent, Ms. Doris Lawson, as she was speaking. And I think I've been with this board and knowing what's what. I know that they're trying to do a lot. And I know that they're trying to do inclusion and not just worry about the type of disability students that they're working with, but to branch off, because now these kids, as several parents spoke last week, or not parents, but staff, I know they're concerned because their kids are there and they want to see that they get a good education. But I am not comfortable with what I'm reading here. And if I do that, this is going to make us look like, well, we didn't know what we were talking about. Where they gave our response, if you go back on page, look at question number 1, and then where we did the targeted population, that was a major concern, the targeted population. And then their answer, I don't know if this is correct or not. Nobody has come back to me on the staff to sit with me and say, well, this is right. I did hear Dr. Jenkins say that they're going to amend and provide feedback. That's not our job to provide feedback. They're supposed to come with everything to get them through. This is not new for them. They're experts. They've done that. I just have a problem with these answers going down in the record. It does not make our team look good. And then now I'm beginning to worry about our team. I'm beginning to worry about our team. Are they what they're supposed to be? And I know some of them have been there a good while, But then on the staff comments with the enrollment projection, OCPS says one thing, and then UCPS responds, but that doesn't make it right. And nobody has proven that that makes it right. I don't know how they made that conclusion to recommend an approval. I don't know how when I'm reading this. And then the part that really blew me this afternoon, about 2 something, I received a document, and oh my God, that was, let me see, did I write it down? I did not get a chance. I looked at it. It was from the law firm, but it was so many pages that they sent to me today. And there's no way in the world that I could go through all of those pages today, even if it was just so many pages. And then Dr. Jenkins mentioned last week that Linda, no one came back to me and mentioned that our auditor actually sat with them. Amy, how many, asked the lawyer, how many pages was that last document you sent to me about 2:30 or 3?
It was about 188 pages, I believe.
Yes, it was 188. And while, if you notice, I was trying to read it during the pre-agenda so that I'll know what the heck was going on. It is no way in the world, Dr. Jenkins mentioned, that our auditor would even take a look at it. I haven't heard from her. She is always very, very good in coming back and calling me and say, well, Gordon, this is good to go. This is good to go. But then I went back and looked at the question on the budgeting, and that didn't go right, you know? And even though I did ask, I know my friend, Miss Eileen, I cannot get her salary because she does all, but I can ask for her public salary like you all can ask for my public salary for the charter school. I never got from your office, Amy, her salary of what she gets, because see, we went through something like this before with the charter, where the staff was being paid more than the teachers, and not only the staff being paid more than the teachers, but it's just the public trust. You have a right to know. I don't have to know what she gets in the private sector, but if she's getting a salary on public funds for assisting these charter schools, I have a right to know, just like you have a right to know what I make. We have to fill out a financial form every year that tells what we make. It's no secret, and it shouldn't be a secret. But people need to know, like we know what Dr. Jenkins made, we know what you made. I just have a problem why that didn't come back to me when I requested it from nobody. I got a problem with it. And then, as I stated before, the financial management oversight, when I look at these questions, it troubles me on their response. No one on our staff assured me. I did not, I was trying to get back to everybody. I was calling everybody to find out why our comments were not correct on here, because this is what I went by, which you gave me, Amy, last time. So I'm just concerned that this information is just, I just wrote here, with the financial management, I don't see where this document is what I'm used to seeing with a public charter. It's not the kind of question and answer that would come back. It does not assure me that they have met the standards. It doesn't assure me that they have met the standards of our audit at OCPS. So if you can answer that for me, Miss Amy, because I believe the auditor falls under your designation. So you need to let me know if our auditor took a look at this, because that was promised to this board, that our auditor would take a look at this. And I'm assuming that Dr. Jenkins had assumed that our auditor did take a look at it. That however you did, I never got the information on where we stood. And to be able to get 188 pages today at 2:30, 3 o'clock, I felt that that was very unprofessional, because we gave them quite a bit of time to get their information in. And I think that's a slap in the face to me And I don't know how the other board members, I can't speak for them, but to me, for me not to be able, I know what we are supposed to look for in a charter school. And it's not going to benefit everybody when we don't have every T crossed and every I dotted. So what I'm looking at, y'all really don't understand it. And I'll be gone, and I know you say thank God, but you're going to wish that I had stayed. And the reason why I'm saying it, you're going to run into something when these other charter schools come forward, because they are coming forward. And when these other charter schools come forward and they see that we gave them a lot of leeway on when I look at these questions that are not fully answered, when I look at the OCP auditor that have not gotten back with any of the board members, that bothered me. I cannot make this, I cannot go back. Yes, I value their service, but we're not to be making amendment and giving them feedback. That's what our choice program is for. That's what the application is for. I cannot do the recommendation of an approval. Why? Why? You're opening up yourself to a lawsuit. Not with them, because they're going to be glad that you granted them this lead. But what I'm saying to you is you're giving UCP a lot of headway. You're giving them arbitrating rights that other people will not be able to glean from this process. And then you people are making notes of this today. They're making notes, because if they can come in and do theirs like this and write up and tell us what they got sitting here, and telling us that our team was wrong, hold on, and that they didn't know exactly what they were talking about, then we need to get a new team. Because I know Dr. Moody is new, and this is all new to them, and these people that are in this kind of thing, they are experts with it. They got lawyers, they got big-time lawyers, but you're getting ready to get other charter schools that they're going to go to the Charter School Appeal Commission. And they're going to come before this board and ask for the same thing when you give them a leeway to be able to wiggle out what their judiciary right was to make this application approved. What really upset me was the charter application addendum on page 17, if you want to go there. And it gave OCPS staff comment, where they mention here, does not consider themselves an education service provider, okay, through the charter school, blah, blah, blah. But then they said, oh, this OCPS staff comment is inconsistent. We're going to let that stay in the record? I cannot approve that today. I am not going to approve it until the team let me know. I just read this. I said, they're saying that we were inconsistent with Florida law? God doggone it. And Amy, you got to check this for me. And not a good cause statutory basic for denying the application? We can deny on one thing wrong. One thing wrong. If one thing is wrong, this board has a right to deny. When I read this, there's more than one thing wrong. They have not met the requirements that is supposed to be met. I don't know why we didn't do them like we did the other charter. Give them another year. They're looking at going 5 years. How in the world, some of y'all going to be gone. Some will be reelected, some of you won't. And some of you won't be there. You may not want to be there. You may want to go to the Senate or something. But when it looks for 5 years, we're talking about giving them feedback for 5 years. And yet we let others, well, they got to, because it's a new, I think what we've done in the past, if it's new, and let me know, Miss Amy, if I'm wrong, if it's an initial, but this is for the initial application, they automatically go 5. But I don't know why we can't say, well, work it out, at least come back next week or the next school board meeting. I know they're trying to open in August, but I don't think anybody might be able to open in August. Not 100%, because the virus is still out there and there are no cure right now. So I would hate parents to put their children in harm's way. I really would hate the parents. I'm glad mine are grown. I wouldn't want my child going to anybody's school without knowing that they're not safe. So to me, I just got concerned. I think you hear them. This OCPS staff comment is inconsistent with Florida law and not a good cause statutory basis for denying the application. The Florida model charter application, which is adopted by reference, and they gave the rule, an education service provider is in an organization with a charter school, and then they an addendum B emphasize supply. Clearly, an ESP must be an entity that has the ability to contract with the charter school. Therefore, I'm just skipping, does not meet the definition of ESP and this section of the charter application form. Listen, everything is supposed to be on the application. Everything is supposed to be on the application. And I gotta understand why the recommendation is to give it an approval when there are so many things that they have violated approval, and you're opening the door for other charter schools to come in and do a charter school appeal with the commission. Other charters will be noting this, so I'm going to say my little bit, and when you start off something and you don't have the children, the best interest of the children, that's what those parents were trying to say. They want the best interest of their children. I'm not seeing it in this application now. And I feel they can go back. I've sent others back, and they've come back, and we haven't had any more problems out of them. They know that this application is not correct. If I was to ask them today, if they feel that this document is really presentable, I don't see how they could say it. I've seen too many documents. I know how the document is supposed to look. I know what we are supposed to do as a board. I will feel bad voting this in as a board member, knowing that all the documents have not been met. And I cannot do it until I at least talk with our auditor, which I didn't have the authority to do, and which I thought that I would. And since I didn't, I cannot approve this. And that's just me. And they know that they have not met all of the qualifications. If one thing is missing, and it can be not approved, 5 years is a long time to monitor anybody. We only sit on this board 4 years at a time. So they're way past that. So I'm going to say this, with that in mind, I will not be given my approval for this charter to move forward. I would like to see them come back at the next board meeting and get this thing corrected so that our children can be served correctly and that they know that they have a good application. This is not a good application. I've seen good applications, and this is not a good application. So Madam Chair, General Counsel, I would like to see more. And to the superintendent, I would like to see more and to see this application presented correctly.
All right, thank you, Dr. Gordon. Dr. Jenkins or Ms. Enval, whoever would like to answer this, I do just, before I go to the rest of the board members, I do want to clarify where we are in this process. So last year, UCP came to us with this application. There was a lot of consternation by staff over the approach they were taking, where they were going to have public and private school students. And we landed on a settlement, and the Department of Education ruled or issued a letter to us determining that the blended model was an appropriate model. As it turns out, they've been doing a blended model as one of our charter schools anyway. I believe those facts are correct. They then submitted to us financials. I believe that was in August, and around October, our staff responded with some concerns, and they subsequently tried to have meetings with us to try to work that out. This is my understanding of how we got here. Come around February, they submitted an application. We have 90 days statutorily to approve it or deny it. And I think we asked for an extension, perhaps they asked for an extension. We're entitled to a 1 month extension, I think a 30-day extension. We got that 30-day extension. And now we are looking at the end of this month. Today is the 26th. We are in our last week to make a decision. We have to approve or deny. I don't like where we are either. I think there are loose ends and questions out there, but we no longer have the time, the luxury of time. I am disappointed that we are where we are at this point, because I don't think as board members, we are able to do the kind of cross-examination you might like to do. So, but I think we could have avoided this if we had moved quicker on our end. I find that the value of what they do is highly worthwhile for students. And so I am trying to look at this in terms of what is best for the student and what are our options. I talked to Ms. Enval several times today about whether there was a continuation, whether there was a process by which they could send in a new application to correct any problems that the staff had with the application. And what I've gathered from this at this point is we have to make a decision, up or down, today. So we are where we are. None of the board members created the environment that we're in, but we have a tough situation in front of us to deal with. And I continue to look for any advice the staff might have in terms of how we reconcile some of the concerns. And I think at this point, let me call on the board members. Let me ask Dr. Jenkins, Ms. Enval, am I missing any, am I wrong on any of my understanding of the timelining or where we are today?
No, you're very accurate in your timeline. You're exactly right. The board has to make a decision at tonight's meeting. We don't have any time left over. We did a mutual extension for those 30 days, and now those 30 days is up. And you can rely on the third-party auditor letter that you received. We did send it to our auditor, but we didn't get it till later this afternoon. And there just wasn't time to take a look at all of that. But you can rely on what's in that letter.
I agree. I know it's and just
their timing, not our timing. I'm sorry.
Dr. Gordon, please don't interrupt me, but I agree with you.
Was I finished? Did you finish me? I'm sorry. I'm not trying to interrupt.
No, you are no longer recognized. But
okay, thank you. I'll get back on.
Thank you. I do agree. What I meant was that was very late timing to get that to us today. I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. Dr. Jenkins?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was only going to add 2 points. One, there was an opportunity to provide written changes or corrections or clarifications to their application. That is not the normal process, but the board asks that they provide those responses and provide them in writing. Secondly, I think Ms. Enval just mentioned my other point I was going to make because I mentioned it at the last meeting. A third outside party did review their financials. We are not required to have our auditor. The board could insist on that. I said I was comfortable as long as they had a third party outside auditor looking at their financials. And then we asked them for a more extensive response as had been offered. That being said, I believe because they were allowed to do secondary responses to some of the questions and concerns, that is why after reviewing those responses, we recommend approval with continual monitoring of those issues.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. Ms. Enval mentioned to me earlier that because we allowed this, and my sense was we shouldn't have allowed it. And I just want to clarify, I am the one, based on everything I heard the board saying last week, who suggested that could they submit to us clarifications that they felt were necessary based on what staff's understanding of their application and what it was. If that was not an appropriate offer, as I've always said to staff, if I say something that is incorrect, correct me, please politely as possible, but correct me during the meeting. So if that was an illegal, improper thing to do, I would have liked to have known it then. What I understand is there's nothing
I don't think it was illegal. No.
Yes, I don't think it was illegal. And I think that where we are right now is we asked for information, we got information. I believe the board can make either decision. I know we focus on what basis can we deny. I have also asked the question on what basis can we approve. just so that if we find value in a charter that has operated successfully in an area where there is a tremendous need, does the board have the legal right to approve it? Dr. Jenkins, you wouldn't have offered your recommendation if you did not believe that the board had the right to approve it. So based on that, I'm going to move forward and recognize Member Gallo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So it's always tough going after Dr. Gordon. She made some good points. We did receive the 127 pages or whatever it was very late in the day, and there was not enough time to read through that document or to get briefed on even what the majority of it meant. With that being said, I agree with the chair as well. We did ask for this information. We did ask for it in writing. I understand that we're setting a precedence by doing so, but we should have been notified of that during the work session, that maybe that wasn't a good call because we're setting precedents that will now allow other charter schools to do the same thing. And we were unaware. I did speak to staff today about the charter application, and I asked them how they felt about the responses given from UCP after I had time to read through them. They felt that it was reasonable. And they also informed me that they would be suggesting approval of the charter. I don't particularly like where we are as well. I understand that we asked for the extension. It's kind of hard. We have to do something, and we have to do it tonight. With that being said, I also recognize that the good work that UCP does, I don't feel that there was any ill intentions in what transpired. I do believe that they do good things for our students. And when I ran for office, just as the chair said, I promised that I would always make a decision on what I felt was in the best interest of the children, because that's what I was elected to do, was to make good decisions for children. And it's for that reason why I would vote to approve this charter this evening. Thank you.
Sorry, did it again. Member Covert, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. So first of all, let me thank the chair and Member Gallo for putting that cushion between me and Dr. Gordon, because it's always a challenge to follow Dr. Gordon. She makes very good, very
my homework.
Yes, you do. And I value your wisdom and your history that you bring to the board. So that said, I think the problem here has not been with the organization or the services that this organization provides to our students. There have been some problems with the application.
Yes.
We did do an extensive cross-examination of the organization and their leadership last week, went on for hours. And I believe that we asked for additional information because we needed to have it in order to make a sound decision. And I believe that we received that information. I also believe that based on the track record of the organization, the other schools that they operate in this network, that they do have my confidence. I have confidence that they will continue to work with our school choice office to clear up any other issues, to provide any other information. Was I able to read through in detail the 47-page document from the CPAs today? No, but I did look through and I felt like they answered a lot of the questions. They clarified a lot of the things that we needed to hear. Their notes on their audit are detailed, and everything to me seems to be in order. And I feel that just like the caller who called in earlier today, who lauded the program at Berkshire for our ESE students there, this organization serves a very broad spectrum of our ESE students. And that's what we want to offer. And I believe that by backing this application and this school, we are offering choices to our parents and to our students. So based on that, tonight, I will be making the recommendation that we approve this charter. I don't think that we set so much precedent, as this is an anomaly. This is an unusual pathway, unusual situation, but that's our jobs to navigate those unusual pathways. So it will be my recommendation and my motion that we approve the UCP Bales Academy Charter application tonight. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So just to clarify where we are, we have a motion by Member Cobert. I can continue to take I will continue to take the board's comments. If anyone wishes to offer a second, they can do so now. Otherwise, at the conclusion of board comments, I'll come back and ask for a second. All right, not hearing a second. That does not mean you don't have a second.
Chair.
No, I'm sorry. You have a second. It's Member Gallo. So we have a motion by Member Cobert, a second by Member Gallo on the table. Now let's go to Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair. I saw that the superintendent wanted to make some clarification, so prior to my comments.
Vice Chair, we're getting only about 50% of your words.
Oh dear.
That's much better. Much better.
Oh, okay. I see that the superintendent wanted to make clarifying comment, and so prior.
Okay, sorry, it's not better.
Okay, wait a minute.
Okay.
I'm going to shut this off.
Thank you.
How about now?
Sounds very good.
Better? Okay. So I see that the superintendent wanted to make a clarification, and I'm fine with her doing that before I continue with my comments.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair. Dr. Gordon, or Dr. Jenkins, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just for clarity, I don't want anyone to think I was somehow implying that the board did something outside of procedures that is questionable. The board has the right to cross-examine, to ask questions, to ask for responses in writing. That is well within the board's rights. And I actually included in my comments that because UCPS is considered valuable in this community, that the board asked several questions and then asked for it in response. And it was actually not the chair who asked for the written responses, but that in no way negates the authority of the board to either approve or deny charter applications. I think it's well within the board's rights to ask for additional responses, and I don't think it was some terrible precedent to be set. I think the discussion and the questions were so extensive and so lengthy that it was appropriate to say, can we just get this all settled and at least have a document that shows the questions or the responses that we had concerns over. And so I wanted to be clear, that was not intended to be a criticism, and it was not the chair who actually mentioned that we wanted it in writing. I thought it was helpful.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to imply it was you. It was a sidebar comment I had, a conversation I had that I got the impression that that our legal team maybe did not think that's the direction we should have gone. I did think I was the one who said it, so I was trying to own up and take responsibility for that. But thank you for clarifying that. My misinformation on my end. Vice Chair Gould, let me go back to you.
Thank you very much. You know, I am in support of the motion, and I think over the months we have learned a lot, and maybe the application was not perfect, but it is hitting many of the cylinders, especially with the written 17-page document. I didn't get through the whole other piece. It's hitting many of the cylinders that we were touching on last week and really starting to clarify it. This is a unique situation, and I think we kind of have to live through it together with UCP to see how it really works. This is not exactly like any other charter. Most of them are pretty much the same models. This is a very unique process that they're going through with the extension of their school. I appreciate and applaud their willingness to continue to be open and work with us and seeing us as a partner as we see them, and our mutual services to the community with respect. It is arduous. There are, as Dr. Gordon pointed out, some things that still need a little bit further clarification, but I don't know that we can completely clarify some of those things until we actually get through the process of them starting their expansion. I am very satisfied with the secondary audit from a very reputable audit firm. It was one of the partners that actually signed the letter, which I think is always a good sign with the confidence that they have in their fiscal responsibility. And so I am in favor of moving forward and keeping the lines of communication and cooperation open.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Let's hear from Dr. Castrodental.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I want to say to the district staff, Mr. Palmerini, Dr. Scott, Ms. Tovine, Mr. Moody, thank you for your thorough scrutiny of the application. As was stated in the last meeting and from comments you've heard tonight, we as the board take our responsibility to provide oversight very seriously. Whether it's the curriculum and the programs used or the population that's served, the financial management, the procedures that are in place, or the safety of the campus, or the qualifications of teachers. When we are ultimately responsible for the success of a charter school, we have to ask a lot of questions. So while it may feel like a long process back and forth between UCP and the district, this is a complex process. So especially when we're working with a nonprofit organization with revenue sources from private, public, charter, federal, and private donations. And I appreciate the additional assurances of the third-party auditor about UCP complying with laws and regulations, about their internal controls, the allocation methodology used to track the dollars, and to the UCP board. I know we have several members who are a part of the meeting right now. I appreciate your transparency and your willingness to provide more information and make changes. I see that they made changes to the role of Dr. Wilkins. And when asked, they did that with haste. And I did read the additional information they provided, and I felt it was more thorough, provided more reassurance. And to echo the superintendent, I do think we set a precedent in this process, but it's in the board being even more thorough, asking more questions and wanting more answers. So I don't think I think we will benefit from this process. So because UCP is a true nonprofit charter with a unique and specialized program that serves our students through a true inclusion model, and they partner with OCPS, I support the recommendation to approve the charter.
Thank you, Dr. Castrodental. Member Byrd, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to quickly say that I too, as Member Gallo said and Dr. Gordon, am disappointed that we're at this point where we have to vote and there's members that still have questions, or there's still a few things that, you know, need to be ironed out. And I kind of, after the work session, after I reflected on all that last week, I thought, you know, I didn't really understand why we were having that work session 1 week before we needed to vote. Like, I felt like they submitted this application back in February. Why did we not have that work session a month after they submitted it? Because I'm sure by then the staff already looked through everything and had their questions, and then we could have sat and we could have worked with them like we did last week and gone through all these questions and given them time to give us more time to ask the questions we needed answered. So the whole process, to me, it bothered me a little bit that how it worked out. So, you know, in the future, I'd like to see, you know, that possibly changed a little bit. It bothered me that the board member last week said that she hadn't even seen the concerns that we were all talking about, you know, and I get it. We were kind of bringing them up for the first time, I guess, to them, but a week before we were due to vote. It just seemed kind of late to be bringing those up. So I would like to see, that worked on a little bit in the future. But I too, like Member Gallo said, I always try to just think what's the best thing for the kids. Why that's my filter for voting for things, and I would vote to approve this charter because I know that the kids and families need these services that UCP provides. I'm satisfied with the additional letter from the auditor and with their willingness to answer questions, and like Dr. Castrodental said, to change things that we asked them to. I think that they've been a great partner all these years, and that they will continue to be a partner and work with us to make us satisfied with the product that they provide for our students. So I will also approve this charter.
Thank you, Member Byrd. Dr. Gordon, you're recognized.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. Am I on? Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay. I love to hear my colleagues, and I wish you all well in the future, because it has really not been an easy road. It's not UCP. I told you that from day one. They know how to put an application together, okay? They have been approved before, so they know. It's just that this application, they know, is not a good application, and that's all well and good for them because of the leeway that you all are allowing them to have as board members, and you have a right to do that. But I, too, as a seasoned board member, and knowing what is supposed to be on that application based on state laws, I promise that I will make good decisions for children. I feel that I have done that to the best of my abilities, even sending charters back to get it right, not giving them any leeway, because I am looking out for this board that there will be no charter school appeal coming after us, okay? Because that almost has happened. So until you have gotten to that point where other charter schools are watching, when you give leniency and there's no consistency, then you're not going to be able to just sit up and say, well, they're good, but they have done good. It's not about what they have done. It's about the application. That's all we do. We are the oversight people to make sure that it is a good application. They know how to get it approved. They have their best lawyers. They have their best lobbyists. They know every one of them we have approved and never had to say anything. So it's not that you have inexperienced people working here. So I love what Member Gallo stated about I make good decisions for children, because the bottom line, and everybody on this board knows that every decision that I've ever made on this board has been for the children. So I say in mind, but and like Colbert said, it's not about coming after me or with me. It's just knowing what's right and what is supposed to be so that you will be protected in the future. And it will come and it will happen when there's no consistency and when you're giving leniency to one and not to the other guys. I'm just trying to warn you. I don't want to be in Hawaii, one of my favorite places, and I turn on and Teresa hair is gray and Pam is all gray, and I don't know who else will be on that board. I feel for you guys because you don't know what it's like, okay? That's why being consistent, yes, it hurts. Yes, it hurts your friends. Yes, it hurts your constituents. Yes, it will hurt children because adults have to get it right. They're the ones that hurt the children when they don't get it right. They know what is supposed to be on that paper. It's the problem is the application. I think every one of you would agree with me if you really read it. But what bothered me is my colleague when they believed the auditor. Well, why do we have an auditor? So we might as well let our auditor go. I'm not going to go with an outside auditor. That's not what we are hired for. We hired our certified auditor to make sure that their auditor is doing the right thing. But you all got faith in it, so I'm not going to argue with you about that. You'll learn as you get older and wiser. Not that you're not wiser, but you're not older, okay? You will definitely look to your auditor and allow that's why we have an auditor. I am not going to go along with anybody else's auditor when I know that the application is not correct. So for my colleagues, I love you with your infinite wisdom to say that you looked at it. Well, I am not a certified auditor. And that's why we hired an auditor so they can advise us and let us know. And I've worked extremely well with Linda. She's one of the best that I've seen in this district. And if there's anything wrong with that application, I'm sure that that auditor, and I worry about the financial part. I told you that. I got major concerns with the financial part of this application. So for my fellow colleagues who feel that you are experts, I wish we would do a workshop and you all teach me how to read it, because I'm not a certified auditor. And that is why we hired our auditor in times like these. So this is what I had put down. I do want the record to reflect I will not be voting for this charter not because of the name of the charter. I'm voting for this, voting against this charter because the application, there are problems, and they know there are problems with the application, okay? And we as a board, like you said, did not have time to go into all of the details to help them to get it right. All of the other applications were wonderful. They walked through and we voted them in like nothing. But they know that they're pushing them. That's why it was so much come back, go here, come back. Lot of leniency. But whatever it takes. But after a while, when you've done so many apps and you have so many lobbyists and you have everybody, you need to work with our team and make sure that the app is right, because it is not our responsibility to see that it's correct. It is the applicant's responsibility to actually see if it is correct. So what I'm saying, I hope that we're not opening up a can of worms, Madam Chair and Madam Superintendent and General Counsel. I hope we're not opening up a lot of worms, that other charters will be watching and they will remember this evening and go to the state and go to the charter school and application commission and say, well, Orange County, they will go through your app and they'll say, well, Orange County did it for them. So I'm just a person with consistency, and with me, the bottom lines are children. I love UCP. They know that I do, but I'm just not comfortable with this app, with all the things that they want to do. It's just not connecting, and they know it's not connecting. And I love them dearly. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Superintendent. I want the record to reflect Dr. Kat Gordon is not in favor of this application going forward. If anything happens, I'm going out with my name cleared. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gordon. All right, let me do roll call vote for the motion made by Member Colbert, seconded by Member Gallo. Beginning with Member Gallo.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Member Gallo.
Johanna Lopez actually has in queue to speak.
Oh, thank you so much for letting me know. Joanna, you were, Member Lopez, you were the only ones we hadn't heard from, but I didn't want to call on you without you queuing up. Member Lopez, before we do roll call vote, love to hear from you.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, I have the same concerns of school board, Dr. Gordon. You know, UCP has a lot of experience with those applications, and it's very rare that they face so many mistakes, and you know, we allow them to provide the answers. I did not have the time as well to see all the documents. I think it's 40 something, 47 or something like that. So I would love to, if it is possible, to have Palmerini providing more feedback in reference to the answers on that document. Are they accurate? Are they complete? Is there something that is very reliable? So that is the question that I have to Mr. Palmerini, please.
Thank you. Palmerini, you recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, School Board Member Lopez. they've provided answers in that document, and let me take them in two different segments. First, with respect to the financial documents, I've seen the letter. I'm not an auditor. I took legal accounting in law school and did very average in it. So my ability to read financial statements is not, I wouldn't rely upon it. So, you know, we sent it over to our auditor to take a look at it. But remember, those financial documents go to the splitting of public and private dollars over at the existing UCP East Charter School. So that would, the UCP East Charter School is still going to exist. Even no matter what you guys, no matter what this board votes tonight. So that is sort of a separate and distinct issue. With respect to the underlying 17-page document that was sent to us, they gave answers. I looked at them. I still had some questions after I saw their answers. I still think that some of the representations they made in the staff interview are different than what's in this document that they sent to us. You know, for example, I'll give as an example. They said that the private school would still exist, the private middle school would still exist regardless of how you guys voted in the application. But in the staff interview, we asked them, if the application is going to be approved, will the private school close? The answer was yes. So we asked so there was the moving of teachers over from the private middle school over to the public charter middle school. That was in the staff interview. I didn't see that get clarified. With respect to whether or not the students were going to automatically transfer or not, they said that they could apply to the new charter school in the application, but at one point in the application, I think it was on page 91, they said, no, they would actually transfer over to the new charter school, the K-5 students. So those were concerns that I had looking at it. And I'm going through, just looking at a couple more provisions of it. If you just give me 1 second, excuse me. With respect to the governance issue, the concern we had was, you know, in the application, there was a flow chart. I think it was Exhibit M. And Exhibit M said that the charter school board was the entity that had the responsibility for governing the charter school. But then we asked them about oversight of UCP of Central Florida. And so we asked them in staff interview, does UCP of Central Florida board oversee the charter school board? And the answer was basically. So I still have concerns that the charter school board has the full governing authority of that school, or whether it is in fact the UCP of Central Florida board. And where that's concerning is if the charter school board doesn't have the full authority and the UCP of Central Florida board has the full authority, all charter school board members have to go through governance training. And I would hope that those UCP of Central Florida folks would go through that governance training. So those were a couple of the issues that we had concerns about, even after seeing their response. With respect to, and I think there was a question about bonds last time with board member Covert. They have a private company issuing the bonds, but the public FTE money would still be pledged to satisfy those bonds. So it's technically compliant with the statute, because the statute says the charter school can't issue bonds. Well, the charter school is not issuing bonds, but UCP or UCP FTE money will be pledged to pay back those bonds. And so those were some of the issues that we had. They answered some questions. I still had some, but you know, those concerns are there, but the superintendent has the full authority to make a recommendation in this case. And my input was considered, but the recommendation before you is to approve the charter school. And so those are the concerns that I have.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mary?
Yes. So, based on those comments, I believe that And I believe in the model of being inclusive. I love the model of UCP, and I have to be clear as well. But I don't feel comfortable to approve this application because I'm gonna set an example to other charter schools in the future. So I agree with school board member Dr. Gordon, and I'm not in agreement with that support.
All right, thank you. Member, Dr. Jenkins, you're recognized.
Madam Chair, it's just a point of clarification. I can do that after your roll call vote.
All right, thank you. All right, at this point, we'll take a roll call vote, beginning with Member Gallo.
Yes.
Member Lopez.
Nay.
Member Cobert.
Yes.
Vice Chair Gould.
Yes.
Dr. Gordon.
Yes, I do want my record to say I didn't know that there were. I just thank Member Joanna because Member Lopez, I should have asked some of those questions, and maybe I could have gotten some more information, because now she's brought up some other things that I'm really concerned about now. About the accuracy and the reliability. So I'm letting my, don't interrupt me, Chair. Let me get my statement out. I have a right to make a statement.
It's a roll call vote.
It's a roll call, but I can make a statement that the record reflects my statement.
Okay, go ahead.
Based on information that does not appear to be accurate and reliable, I am voting against this charter.
All right, thank you, Dr. Gordon. Make sure that is reflected in the record.
Thank you.
In the minutes. All right, thank you. Member Dr. Castrodano?
Yes.
And Member Byrd?
Yes.
All right. All right, we will move on to information items. Dr. Jenkins, you're recognized. Dr. Jenkins, I should probably announce, just for the record, for the minutes purposes, the motion carried with 5 out of the 7 members voting in the affirmative. Member Lopez and Dr. Gordon voting in opposition, with Dr. Gordon's statement included in the minutes. Dr. Jenkins?
Ivan, 2. Thank you. 2 points I would make, and then I have a couple of things to share with you. One, I don't want Linda Lindsay's hair to go white. So just for the understanding of the general public, our school board auditor does not review the financials of charter applications. Don't want her to be overly anxious about that. Secondly, on behalf of staff, part of our delay was due to COVID-19. I know we can blame a lot of things on COVID-19, but that March timeline where we're looking at charter applications was interrupted. I thought that was at least worth submitting. And then lastly, certainly concerns over initial responses on the application, I believe were overturned because we allowed a secondary response and written response from the individuals. And so I can assure this board and the community that we will continue to monitor closely the workings of a very reputable charter organization as they move forward. We will be consistent in our auditing of their efforts. My report actually covers a couple of different issues. Let me say something about ESE, since we had some speakers previously. I was going to mention 2 things. Yeah. Go ahead.
If I may make a point of clarification, I did not hear the chair's vote, and I just want to make sure the records.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, I might have missed it.
No, I'm sorry. I announced the vote that all members except for those 2 members voted in the affirmative. That includes me. So yes, I voted in favor. Thank you.
Just want to make sure the record's clear.
Thank you.
All right. So back to some of our ESE questions. Let me just clarify a couple of things. Number one, for any of the listening public, a work session is not let me say first and foremost, we absolutely want to make sure we are serving the needs of our ESE students. That is our intention. That is our commitment. We will work doubly hard to make sure parents understand that. I have said previously, the issues might be challenging, but in distance learning, they became amplified, those challenges. That does not mean I do not have an expectation that staff get answers to parents when they are requested. We'll make sure that takes place. I would like the board to know that some efforts were made to reach a couple of individuals that I believe were on the calls today. I think one actually was successful. I would encourage any of those individuals, if you get an email or a call or a message, please allow us time to discuss issues with you individually. But we are absolutely committed to our ESE students. It is a national issue, not just statewide. The state is dealing with some issues as well, and we'll give some clarification on services to be provided, supplemental services to be provided. But it is not because we do not want to absolutely serve the needs of every single one of our children. In particular, there was a comment around Parent Academy that was not the only source of parent education. We actually mentioned Fiddlers and Finn that were brought up by the caller. They are our partners in providing training for our parents as well. I think it's important too to understand that we have legal issues and individual cases that are sometimes brought up, state IEP meetings coming up and scheduled. Some of those issues really make it difficult and probably inappropriate by legal advisement to have public discussions around some of those cases. Does not mean we're not concerned that we are not communicating with them. And again, individual calls that are made and between legal services and ESE will continue to be made to help coordinate with those individuals. ESY, the summer supplemental services to be provided. We are very hopeful. July looks like a potential for some providing of missing services that goes beyond our actual contract discussion and MOU with our teachers. So we'll have an opportunity to hire teachers to do some work in July, hopefully, and have some contracted services as well with some of those special needs of our students. And so in the coming days, we hope to have some information regarding ESY for our parents. And then I want to mention as well, we are reconstituting, creating that parent advisory council. I've mentioned previously that it was a little bit out of sync with what should have been provided with a charter and with actual agreement on what the advisory nature of the council was, and with sunshine requirements as well. And so in the next couple of weeks, we will be speaking with board members regarding constituting a parent advisory council. And then lastly, we have a message that's going out to our parents today. Tomorrow is the last day of school for all of our teachers at home, as well as our teachers who work for OCPS. All of those parents who have been working diligently, parents, grandparents, relatives, anybody who's been helping our children at home, tomorrow is the last day of school. Certainly want to encourage folks to have their celebrations at home. We can't have celebrations, including most noteworthy our graduation celebrations, but certainly encourage folks to do those celebrations at home. We are so proud of what's been accomplished by our young people, our teachers, our principals, everyone who's been involved in this distance learning predicament that we found ourselves in because of the pandemic. I want to thank everyone and congratulate you on the end of a fabulous school year. That being said, Madam Chair, oh, and I needed to mention as well, anybody interested in the survey, can't say it enough times, the survey was not scientific, just a temperature gauge on what people were thinking about for next year. If you're interested in those numbers, they are available on our website and on our social media sites as well. About 37% said we ought to return to school safe with safety measures. 18% said distance learning. 24% said blended, and 21% said we're unsure. As soon as we have information from the state, further guidance, I promise you we will keep you informed about where we are headed. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I'm sorry. Before we go on to Ms. Enval's legal counsel report, let me go to Dr. Gordon first.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Can hear you loud and clear.
Right. There were 2 points I wanted to make in Dr. Jenkins' statements, and she was trying to answer several of the questions from the parents. I think the first parent, Mrs. McGill, sent that to me, where she was concerned, I think, with the Black history. Dr. Jenkins know that there are state laws already in place that we're supposed to be doing that. So maybe she wants to bring that up, if not in this meeting, at a later board meeting, or get it to every school, that there is a law that Black history must be taught. So I could not get all of the parts, but as I stated, Mrs. McGill said it to me, so I'm hoping that that was her intent. And not only just Black history, but every nationality. But that one is documented in the state laws. I do know that, so she may want to make a comment about that. And I did want to mention, as she was giving the report, to bring up Miss Linda Lindsay again. She said that Miss Lindsay here would be white. Miss Lindsay is there for us as the board, and I think you know that, Madam Chair, because you have, reasons. I know where your heart is for an auditor. You were fighting for that in so many different ways. But I know we're not trying to make her hair white. We're just trying to get her to make sure that we are on the right path, and we have the right as a board to know that. And I know that that's what Dr. Jenkins' intent was, that we're trying to get the best information that will help children and to help the charter to succeed. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well said. Let me, I just need to clarify before I go to Ms. Enval. I see that Dr. Castor-Dental, I don't think you wanted to be recognized. I think, no, you're good, right? I just saw on the chat. And then Member Gallo, I still need to recognize, we still need to finish out the meeting, but do you have something you want to add now, by all means?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I kind of want to circle back to the work session discussion on ESE. I understand the superintendent's point. We can't get into personal IEPs or personal information, but I do think that a work session would be beneficial. I know that there's a lot to learn, and as a board, we get many emails and requests for help, and it would be nice just as a board member to hear from the community at ESE and to hear from the staff. I think that we do some great things well, but it would be nice to hear and to have a work session. For example, the IEPs from the end of the year, I've gotten many complaints about the IEPs being time limited due to the MOU we signed. And if you want an FIEP or a state facilitator, then those usually require 4 to 6 hours, which we can't do because the MOU signed requires that we can't ask a teacher to work outside those 3 hours. So there's just like little instances like that that come up that I wasn't aware of. I didn't realize that the MOU had the potential to cause conflict with our ESE parents. So I believe there might be value in having a work session. So I just wanted, I want to have my say on that. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Pardon me, Dr. Jenkins?
I said, Madam Chair, if I may.
Of course.
So I tried to simply clarify. I think one of the speakers said a work session so that teachers and parents could get together or have a discussion around needs assessment. That's not actually what would take place in a work session. We are more than happy to provide a work session for the board's discussion and understanding around IEP issues and various ESE matters. I was simply trying to clarify that it's not an opportunity for teachers and parents to engage and try to determine a needs assessment. I believe that's what one speaker had mentioned. And I will tell you, this year, those issues around the teachers union MOU and some of the state requirements, it's because we are in a predicament that we have never been in before. Some things certainly could not have been prepared for or even thought of at the point that we agreed to that MOU, but happy to, anytime the board needs a work session for their discussion and their clarification on a matter, we are more than happy to accommodate. I didn't want anyone to be misled that that would be a forum for parents and teachers to engage.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. Member Gallo, I was actually, when I heard the comment, I had thought I might just sit down and talk to the superintendent about the value of that for newer board members, non-teacher board members, because this is an area that is very, very complicated, very detailed, but extremely important. So I saw value, but like Dr. Jenkins, when I heard the rest of the speaker's comment, I also thought that perhaps we were interpreting work session to mean something different than that speaker. So I think it would be helpful for us to get a better understanding from that speaker, but I also see value in us as the board having a work session to have, at least for the newer board members. I don't want to put everybody else through that necessarily, but I think it would be helpful to me as well. So let me hear from Member Gould and then Member Lopez. Vice Chair Gould, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I can wait till the end. Mine are overall comments. I'll wait till after the General Counsel report.
Thank you. Member Lopez, you want to speak to this issue?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a question because I received texts and emails about the OCPS advisor committee or task force committee because they wanted to be part of it. And, you know, I would love to have more feedback in reference of that group. How are we choosing the people that are participating in that committee? So I think maybe Superintendent can explain, Dr. Jenkins can explain to us better.
Dr. Jenkins?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Member Lopez, so a couple of things are important to remember. We made a failed attempt at having an advisory council without appropriately establishing a charter and establishing sunshine law requirements and making sure there was equal representation. And I believe it sort of went off track. In fact, there were instances where people did want to come and discuss individual particular cases. And so what we're headed toward, I'm so glad you brought this up for further clarification. Amy Enville, your general counsel, and her legal team will help us work through appropriately establishing a parent advisory council where they are trained in sunshine law requirements, where every board member, as Dr. Gordon mentioned last board meeting, every board member has representation, parents on that advisory council, and they have a clear understanding of what they are advising on. Doesn't mean that there aren't separate entities that are advocacy groups, but an advisory council ought to meet certain criteria, and your general counsel is going to help us build that. We'll be talking with you more about it in the coming weeks and making sure it is representative of the entire district.
Perfect. I also have another question about the reopening options for the school. And are we going to have a group of people representing the areas, or maybe, you know, maybe the union, staff members, just to give you, you know, to give us more feedback in reference to the options? And how are we going to choose them, or if we already have a group of, you know, I need more information on that as well.
All right, Dr. Jenkins, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Member Lopez, as we mentioned last time, there are 4 working groups being established. They will be cross-departmental, and in particular, we've asked both of our unions to give us representatives for brainstorming. These are not decision-making groups. They are certainly at the ground level trying to brainstorm potential scenarios and solutions that we might consider for reopening school in the fall. Both of our unions have responded positively. They're going to give us some representatives to be a part of that brainstorming. Staff members have been delegated as well. I would like to be able to bring back some framework to the school board from that work, but both of our, all of our employee representative groups, as well as staff, will start that work. I want to open up and continue to open up to all of our parents to give us feedback and thoughts as we work through various scenarios. We are not at this point bringing in parents on those work groups, because then you engage sunshine issues and appointing from every area and making sure you've got equal representation. And then honestly, that means a few parents have input when all of our parents would like to have some input. So both unions and staff will work on the ground level of trying to establish some of the framework of what could happen. Bottom line is, we can work all we want to. It may be handed down to us in a package with a pretty bow on top from the state about what we will do next year. In the meantime, though, we are certainly trying to brainstorm and work around potential scenarios. So 4 different work groups to be working on those issues, including representatives from our unions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Lopez. Okay, I think I think I am in a good shape right now in terms of board comments. I still, at the end of the meeting, need to recognize Vice Chair and Member Byrd. I don't think anybody else is asked to be recognized on this issue, so I'm going to move on to Ms. Enval and her legal counsel report.
I do not have anything tonight.
Oh, that's music to our ears. Okay, so I do have one item I want to discuss quickly with the board. Ms. Enval mentioned, I believe at our last meeting, the idea of forming the policy committee. The board already has a policy that lists committees, and that's one of our standing committees. I'm going to recommend, after consultation with Ms. Enval, that we begin with a work session with the board so that we can all come together. I think one thing that's going to be very valuable to us is to understand how policy development takes place right now, the process the staff goes through, so that when we as board members and come together either as a committee or in any other forum, we have the ability to understand what takes place behind the scenes. I think that would be beneficial. It'll also be helpful for us to have a conversation and see how many of the board members wish to serve on that policy committee. I would not be surprised if it's 100% of us. And if there are any other issues you think we need to address during that work session, by all means, I would suggest either reaching out to the superintendent or Amy. And Dr. Jenkins, I'm going to ask for your help in getting that on an upcoming board schedule. And so I have two more board members that just want to make some closing comments. I have that are ahead in line of Dr. Gordon, but I think Dr. Gordon wants to comment on this issue. Dr. Gordon, you're recognized.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair. You are so right. I just hate to say how we came about with those committees, but you have a right as a chairperson of this board. We did that because we had, when I came on board, 2 great big orange booklets. And I recommended, we did not have a communications committee, and we did not have, there's nothing in the law that states that you have to follow our old plan from Susan Arkin. Those are things that we came up that we felt we needed as a board to function. And I don't want us, and I don't want your leadership style to be bogged down with committees that we created and made up for the purpose of getting through something. We had to go through 2 great big orange booklets, and it was just embarrassing. If you have ever seen them, somebody might have left them in your office. And we just felt, and I think Eileen, Attorney Eileen and John Pomerani and that group and Amy, I think they have done a great job in trying to help us to slither it down. But there's nothing to say that you have to have that committee. You don't want to overwork yourself. You want to really look at where do you want the board to go under your leadership and in what directions. And at that particular time, it happened to have been Susan Arkins and then Karen Ottoman, then Rick Roach, then Tim Shea, and then another man from Apopka, he's going to kill me, Martin, and then Bill Sublett and all, and then Rick Roach. So you're living under, those are old committees. So I don't want any of the new board members to feel that that's in gold. I'd like to see you come up, especially after hearing your strategic plan today. I just think that there are so many great things that we can create committees centered around our strategic plan and then move forward, because you don't want to overwork your staff. And you don't, because for every committee, you're going to have a staff person that's going to be assigned, and that could be a lot of work. So we may want to get together. You may want to come up with something that you would like to see as a leader and the direction that we would want to go. Bill did it, Rick did it, Karen did it, Susan did it, Linda Sutherland did it. I happen to have served, and Lydia Gardner. She was coming off when I was coming on, and she went with you. So what I'm trying to say, just because it's there, doesn't mean we have to do it. We may want to do something else. We may want to do something differently, because we pretty much got those policies. We need to finish up some of the policies that's out there, and you do not need a committee to do that. There are only 8 of us. And I got to use what Susan Hawkins told us. All 8 needs to belong to all 8, all the committees that we create. And that's what made it good. And we were not able to have to do all of the extra work sessions because we used to meet in the committee, then come before a work session and get other people values and thoughts. But the way we're doing now, we just letting everybody just bring it before the board, but that is not the way that would make everybody have input on it. So a lot of those were created for us at that particular time in order to do what we needed to do. So I don't want you to think that that's something you have to do. All right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Gordon. All right, that's all I had. Let me go to our vice chair, and then I'm going to go to Member Byrd. Vice Chair.
First, a couple of clarifying things. We had a report that was in our packet this evening from our internal auditor, Laura Lindsay, who's been talked about tonight a lot. And I just want to commend the facilities team and that audit group led by Laura for really continuing to reinforce all safety protocols that we have and making sure that the policies that we have written for the safety of our students are enforced and ensuring there are no gaps in safety. It was a very good audit, and that's the kind of work that she does that is so meaningful. Is really looking at those policies and those procedures, whether it's, accounting for a baseball team or ensuring that the safety protocols we set forward go forth. So I wanted to give her a shout out on that. The census, was extended, and we're coming into a time where there's 2 schools of thought on our growth going forward. One school is the Northeast really got hit hard by COVID, so people will continue to come down here. And the other is that people will hunker down and delay coming down here. But either way, I think growth is coming eventually. And so it's very important we get as much an accurate census as we possibly can. So if we can continue to push out messages to ensure people can safely share how many are living in their household so that we make sure we get all the resources we need for education going forward. I think that's important before it kind of gets lost in the summer shuffle. And COVID safety procedures too. I hope that we will continue to share safety measures even through the summer. I know we will have reduced staff, but as we move from phase to phase, I think it's very important that we try to communicate with our families as much as possible so that we all remain on the same page and the rumor mill doesn't start getting out of hand there. And then on the fun part, we have graduations coming up. And they are going to be virtual this time, but they are going to be fabulous. And there are signs all over town of people celebrating out in front of our schools. There are balloon sculptures. There's all kinds of cool stuff. I would encourage the whole community to share everything that you see with each of your board members so that we can share it with the community at large, because I'm encouraging my district to do that. If you see a celebration, send it to me on a post, attach it to a comment where I've started kind of a chain of that. But we just want to continue to celebrate the accomplishments of our matriculating kids and our graduates as much as possible.
Well said. Thank you. Member Byrd.
Very good. Thank you, Member Gould, for that. That was a great point you made. I just wanted to, I have an issue to bring up, but before I do that, I want to circle back to the ESE work session just to see if I can get a little clarification, because Dr. Jenkins said that she'd be more than happy to do a work session for us on ESE issues, but then said, that it wouldn't necessarily be a place for parents and teachers to engage. My question is, what could we do, or what do we call it, or could we do something that the board could sit down and have those discussions with parents and teachers? Because I personally would be very interested in hearing from teachers and parents about their experiences. And I think that is, I think that there's a lot of value in that, to be able to hear from the teachers that are working in the classrooms and what, if there are situations where they're not getting the tools they need, or parents, the same thing. So I don't know if it would not be called a work session, or if we could just do something that we haven't done before and call it something else, and, just all the board be able to be in a room and allow parents, teachers, and staff to be able to kind of talk us through, hear comments, and be able to talk us through them. I think that would be really valuable. So that was my first thing. I don't know if you want to stop there.
Let's pause there. I think you might have misunderstood what Dr. Jenkins was saying. Dr. Jenkins?
Yeah, so work sessions aren't actually designed for that. What you also have to keep in mind is if you bring together parents and teachers, sometimes they are on opposing sides of some litigation, some legal issues that we're dealing with. And so a specific teacher versus a specific parent is not something for a public forum. However, brainstorming around issues, there's some issues related to collective bargaining as well. That is not the forum either. In several instances, the issue of teachers and parents, or teachers versus parents, is sometimes litigious. And so I don't know how you, and I'll certainly talk with our general counsel along those lines, but I don't know how you bring together those two sides, which sometimes are in opposition. And I can't get into some of the legal issues that we're dealing with. I don't know how you do that and really have it be useful to getting things done for children when there may just be opposing sides. There is a venue where some of those issues are actually being dealt with. If it's in general, learning more about our ESE program and what's offered and what IEP, as the chairman mentioned, what is an IEP anyway, and what is this timeline, and what are these evaluation timelines and breaches and various legal terms, that can be provided in a work session for an in-depth understanding of board members. And work sessions in general are for conversations among board members. I'm happy to talk with our general counsel around whether or not there is an appropriate venue for teachers and parents who may be on opposing sides of an opinion around ESE services. If there is an appropriate venue where that might take place, happy to look at it.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead. Good observation there. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. And, and possibly even, she brings up some good points. So possibly what we could even do as board members, or at least I'm thinking what I could do, is ask for input before the work session, so that we could come to the meeting with, our concerns outlined, that we can ask staff. That's a possibility too. But yeah, I appreciate that from Dr. Jenkins. The issue that I wanted to bring up tonight was as around the topic of teachers accepting, how long teachers are allowed to accept late work, and also, the 50% grading policy. I had an email from a teacher that brought it to the forefront of my mind. She emailed me last week, and when she emailed me, it reminded me that this issue is an important issue to me, that I hadn't thought about it in a while because there's been so much other things going on. But it's something that when I first started noticing it when my oldest daughter was in middle school, and the amount of flexibility that was given to her for turning in assignments. It was kind of shocking to me, actually. And she's the kind of, my younger one gets her stuff done right away. The older one, if you give it to her, she'll take the time. So so that concerned me a little bit. And she's a super bright kid, but I felt like it was getting her in some bad habits. And when I discussed it with other parents, they kind of saw the same thing. They were seeing, their kids having an assignment that was due on, Thursday, and they didn't get it turned in, and then they were given another week, and they were given another week, and, without any real consequence. And so that kind of bothered me, and I felt like it left my daughter not as prepared as she should have been for high school without, she didn't have those good work, good work habits that she needed for high school and for like AP courses and everything. So when the teacher emailed me last week, it reminded me of all that. And so I talked to Dr. Vasquez about it. She gave me some great answers, but one of the things that she mentioned is that it's not in any, she thinks that she kind of told me, that it's a lot of schools practices to allow, to give students time to redo work or to redo a test and get more points and, that kind of thing. The flexibility is allowed in a lot of schools, but it's not in any policy necessarily that the school board has. So I don't know that it necessarily needs to be in a policy, or maybe it's just something that needs to be talked about or clarified, but it's just something that I would like to discuss. So maybe we could, I don't know, have it at a work session in future, or, I don't know, but I wanted to bring it up tonight to be able to allow you guys to know that it's something that I think that we need to address. So.
Okay, Member Byrd, you had mentioned late assignments, being able to turn them in. I think you said a 50% rule.
The grading of assignments, that they are not allowed to get a grade below 50%.
Okay,
not correct.
Okay.
She's saying not correct, and I think that's what Dr. Vasquez told me too, that it's not for individual assignments, that it's for quarter grades. But I don't believe that that's the way it's being interpreted district-wide. I think that that they're not giving grades lower than a 50, but that's just, I'm not sure. I just think it all needs some clarification. And I think that what has happened now and I know distance learning, we were giving a lot of grace, and I understand that, and I understand the reasoning behind that. But I think that what happens for some of these teachers is they get overwhelmed then with grading at the end of the quarter when all the kids are turning in all this late work. So, and not to mention, I just think it's a bad habit to get kids into, and not allowing them to understand that there are deadlines, that you have to get things turned in on time. I think that I don't understand really the reasoning behind it. I understand we want them to learn and we want them to have success, and the point is the mastery of the skill. I understand that. But I don't know that allowing them 2-3 extra weeks to do assignments necessarily means they're mastering the skill any better. So I just have some concerns about that.
So, Member Byrd, if I can summarize the two issues. I hear what you're saying. You are concerned that the kids need to master skills, but they also need to understand consequences for not getting their work done in time. And I hear that one loud and clear. And the superintendent, I know, has heard that. The 50%, I wanted to give the superintendent a chance to respond to that, because it's a separate issue, but I hear that a lot from teachers, that they want to get rid of the 50% rule. And the understanding I've gotten from the teachers I've heard from was that it applied to every assignment. And I may be misunderstanding the teachers. So Dr. Jenkins, for the benefit of all of us newbies, we can't claim that too much longer, but we still have a little bit of time to claim we're newbies. So 50% rule, how's that supposed to work and why?
Happy to explain it. And I apologize to the board, because sometimes we forget. We had lengthy discussions around this matter. So for those who were on the board, I apologize that you get to hear it again. But I think we tend to forget that our newer board members may not have been as familiar. So two things. First of all, there are some provisions where teachers are responsible for assessing student work. Schools also have some ability of setting criteria in place that they believe are appropriate. What the district says is when it comes to the actual 9-week grade, that elevator stops at 50%. And I want to be clear, because this was a great point that was made with the former board. 50% is an F. And the truth is, you got to work pretty darn hard if you get an F for one of those 9 weeks to recover and be able to have credit either at the semester point or at the year-long point. You've got to work really hard to recover. If instead you say an F can be a 0 or anything between 0 and 49%, still an F, but those zeros or very low scores sink a child so deep in the hole they cannot recover. It's almost mathematically impossible to recover. So what you're actually saying is if I get an F that's a 22%, for my first 9 weeks, then I may as well sort of give up for the rest of the year because I'm probably not going to get credit for that class. So the 50% elevator, the elevator for an F stops at 50%, still an F. You got to work darn hard to claw your way out of that hole, but there's a possibility that you can still get out of that hole and receive credit for that class. And so the intention was very child-centered, that you not bury children so deep after that first 0 or after that first very low 9-week grade that they are discouraged because they can never get out of it mathematically. There is no guideline for individual assignments. I guess we'll send it out again, Dr. Vasquez. There is no guideline that says no child shall get less than 50% on an individual assignment. Now, does that mean some schools don't have the same philosophy? If you bury a kid with zeros after 0 after 0, you're basically shoving them out. You're basically saying there is no way to recover. And so there may be schools that encourage teachers around that, but the only district guideline is for the 9-week score, if a kid has an F, the lowest an F can go is at the 50% mark. Very pleased at some efforts. In fact, Member Colbert probably remembers this because Freedom High School was just very diligent about it because they were committed to student success. Now, turning in an assignment late means you get a lower grade, but they had a no excuse kind of attitude that said, you know what, every lunch period you're missing assignments, you're going to meet with an administrator and your lunch period is working on those missing assignments. You're going to get lower and lower grades the later it is, but there's no excuse because we believe in mastery learning and we're going to make sure we help get you over the bar for graduation. Because if you get enough zeros, if you get enough lower marks, you're not going to have enough credits to graduate over your poor performance and refusal. And so at Freedom High School, they just said, yeah, we're not going to let you do that. Every lunch shift, here you go, meet me right here until you get that work turned in. I don't want students to somehow be encouraged or think that they're getting away with something. 50 is an F. You got to work darn hard. If you get that 1 F on a 9-week score, you got to work very hard to make sure you have enough to have your credit at the end of the year. Certainly can have more discussions around that, but I hate that once again, this urban myth won't go away, that individual, I believe there was someone, I don't remember which politician who mentioned that in Orange County, a kid can't get 0 on a single assignment. If they turn it in with their name on it, they get a 50%. That was never the intention. The intention is at the 9-week grade. So I appreciate, Madam Chair, pardon the length of my response. I appreciate being able to clarify it. We'll make sure it's put out again far and wide for the future.
Member Byrd, thank you for bringing it up. I get that question every once in a while, and I have never gotten around to asking the question, but it haunts me every time I hear it. So I really appreciate. I apologize again to all of the existing board members to take you through that, but it was helpful. Anything else on your plate, Member Byrd?
No, that's it. I just I think I still want to maybe get a little clarification on the turning in late work, or what the district's viewpoint, since there's not really a policy about it, what's the kind of expectation that teachers should have as far as accepting late work? Do we just is it expected that they are allowed to accept late work through an entire 9 weeks up until the end of the 9 weeks? And are they not allowed to take off points, or they are allowed to take off points? I mean, I'm just wondering if, or maybe it's just a school by school thing. And if it is, then in that case, I kind of feel like there needs to be a little more consistency. I don't know. I'm still concerned about the late work. But that's it.
Okay, so 2 ways we can handle this. I'm thinking right now it might be helpful for you and Dr. Jenkins to talk through that. I'd like to hear the outcome because you have me very intrigued, and I'm philosophically more in line with you, where kids it's every bit as important for them to learn responsibility as the other things that we teach. But I listen to Dr. Jenkins, and there's always a great why behind the way we do things. So I'd like to hear back. I'd also be interested in the follow-up on the issue, is that a teacher by teacher, school by school, because I do think some consistency is valuable, but we hear over and over from teachers they want their autonomy. So
Absolutely.
exactly. So maybe if the two of you all could can meet and discuss that, and then maybe.
Certainly, I can share out. I will share with the board next time we meet, Madam Chair.
And Member Lopez raised her hand. Member Lopez, on this same subject, did you want to comment? No? Anything else, Member Lopez? Okay.
I was thinking about you know, it is very controversial when you're speaking about, you know, giving points, allow them to make up, and you know, and I was a teacher, and as a teacher, and I'm also a man, but I'm gonna speak, you know, as a teacher. Given, you know, we don't know what are the students are going through, and sometimes when you give them makeup, you're giving them the opportunity to believe in themselves as well. It's not only to complete an assignment, it's also that, you know what, today is a better day, and I will allow you to complete this assignment. But remember, you have to be responsible, and we always, you know, take the opportunity to try to advise. But I you know, and I remember, if I give a homework, this is, you know, on a daily basis, is gonna be something against their grades most of the time, because the majority of our low-income students work outside. So it was very hard for them to keep up with homework. So, you know, as a teacher, we have to make arrangements, and I know we have a lot of teachers that all of them are always making arrangements to make them successful, because the teachers know that they're struggling, and sometimes the students are not saying anything. And for few parents, they maybe want, okay, don't give, and this is why I'm saying that it's very controversial and it's very delicate. A parent saying, no, don't give an opportunity to my son, don't give him the makeup because he didn't do it during this time or during this date. And you know, sometimes we might think that they're not being challenged by the word, but we can diversify our options, and we can provide high expectations and provide a different work for a student that maybe want to do more. You know, this is part of our task, to provide diverse assignments, diversify our education. So, you know, it's kind of controversial, and with the 50% at the end, I also agree on that. You know, we don't know. We have students that are taking care of their siblings, and they're failing, and then when they saw a lot of zeros, they're saying, okay, why I have to do, because they do the math, and they're gonna say, you know what, I'm not even gonna try because I'm gonna fail anyways. So the teacher needs to be creative and flexible to make them successful, because you have a kid that, you know, have a lot of potential, but the situation that they are living is very challenging and it's very hard. You know, they have to take care of sometimes of children, take care of the house, maybe even cooking. So I think that depends, and this is the reason why we have to know our parents and know also the expectation of our parents, so we can be more assertive, you know, when we are providing opportunities and also different type of work. So the good heart cannot be misunderstood, you know, that we are just maybe slacking or providing, you know, very low expectations type of work. So it's very important to have those conversations with, you know, with our parents, to know the parents, to know the students, so we can be very fair in the teaching strategies. Just an opinion.
Okay. All right. I think everybody who wanted to speak has spoken. I think we've completed tonight's work. I'm wrong. I see Member or Vice Chair Gould.
Sorry, I got in the queue, but I think we just started. So hopefully this will close us out, since Member Covert and I and Member Gordon kind of have the history on this. I'm just going to tell you the personal story that I went through, and one of them might be in the room next door that I'm going to tell a story on right now. But I think this is also partially a developmental issue, and as a mother of boys who are both extremely intelligent, but didn't always love all the classes that they took. The first half of one of their, I think it was their junior year, may have even been the senior year, AP class did not do well and ended up getting some zeros. And because he had below a 50, he ended up with a D in that course and passed the AP exam with a 4. So he went into college with a D on his transcript. He had a grasp of the content, but he just didn't, whatever he was going through at the beginning of that year, including fighting with us about getting assignments done and workload and all those things, that's a situation that our teachers did their job. He comprehended the material, and we really hurt his GPA, in my opinion, because we didn't have this rule at the time for him, where he could have recovered and at least made a C. And we probably shouldn't have had him take the AP exam, but that's beside the point. So that's one of the examples of, kids just go through different things at different times, and they're still kids while they're with us. And I think a 50 is still hard to recover from, but at least it would be recoverable to a passing and a more acceptable grade if they want to go on to higher education.
Thank you, Vice Chair. And you, did you have anything else you had wanted to say closing out the evening? All right, then that concludes our input for the evening. Good, tough meeting. I do want to recognize this was not an easy meeting for the board, and I respect all of the opinions and comments that were made, and really can't find anybody that I disagree with. It's just a tough situation. Hopefully we won't be in this situation again. With that, good night, everybody. A meeting is adjourned.
Good night, all.
Good night.